So here may be wherein lies the problem or the crisis. The media is only being asked to report. They're not being asked to help create the narrative. Exactly. They no longer have a role in creating the daily narrative. They no longer have a team at night of producers and writers and graphic designers that are putting together the narrative for the day, because Anthony Blinken or Jake Sullivan or John Kirby, the little guy over there at the whatever, uh, or the CIA or someone in Biden's administration, not Biden. No one is rushing over and giving them their talking points of the day for the narrative to run, to create. No one. Absolutely not. I'm your host, BKP, and you're watching BKP Politics on Voice of I sound like Scooby-Doo. On voiceofruralamerica.com. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning. Now, Thursday morning here, you know, what did the A-team used to say, Diane? Well, you're too young to remember that, but you remember, didn't they love when a plan came together? So I want to get back to that because, you know, every day I study the media and it is absolutely tearing them up that they are not writing the daily narrative. That, you know, there's the parts and their role in convincing you that Ukraine stood a chance, their role in convincing you that Zelensky was doing the right thing, their role in trying to convince you Zelensky is the next Winston Churchill, their role in trying to convince you that Ukraine is this amazing partner of the United States. In fact, yesterday, the entire time Trump is talking about Vladimir Putin, Zelensky, Ukraine, Russia, and this war, I've not once noticed Donald Trump wearing a Ukraine flag on his lapel. Is that still a thing, right? And what I'm really enjoying, all right, so we're going to show you piece by piece something that you know for all too long. The puzzle is coming together. But I'm going to answer a question. Was there ever a time that you thought or questioned, does Donald Trump care about our money that taxpayers sent to Ukraine? If there was ever a time that you questioned, well, will Donald Trump just go into office? Will Donald Trump just go into office and just say, okay, Ukraine, it's done, it's over. We're going to write that off. We just take our loss and write it off. Did you ever question? All right. Now, Vladimir Zelensky is the guy that they replaced when we did, they put him in place when we did the regime change in Ukraine. All right. And not to go way back. And then Vladimir Zelensky is the one that had the perfect phone call, right? The perfect phone call with Trump. Did you think for 1 minute, I'm serious, that Donald Trump was going to let Vladimir Zelensky get away with his crimes against you and I and steal our money? So let me give you this one, because we've got a lot on the table today. But the media is in the dark. The only thing we're requesting them to do is to report what's happening. We're not asking them to be part of the narrative or to create one or to invent one. No, it's driving them crazy. Give me number 35. So when you send, good morning, Diane. Did I say good morning? When you send your consigliere, do you understand that? I don't know if I pronounced it right. But when you send the consigliere over to meet with him with a forbearance agreement, right? Yes. So give me number, I don't know if I have this correct, Diane. Give me number 74. I think that's the one I want, right? Yes. So when you send your consigliere, I want this one back, right? A forbearance agreement is a temporary postponement of loan payments. Look here, let's freeze. Lender, that's you and I, may grant forbearance instead of forcing the borrower into foreclosure or default. The terms of the forbearance agreement are negotiated between you and the lender. So here's the thing, take that down, go back. We're calling your loan, all right? We're calling your loan. We're going to do an agreement. We're going to pause for right now. You're not getting any more money. We want to see on our side how we're going to recoup the losses, the American people. And plus, we also want to talk to you about the revenue, where the revenue went in the arms sales that you, because you have no arms, and all of a sudden you had equipment to sell to cartels. So we got to discuss those kind of things. So that's what I'm here to put in place. Because Trump said, as we speak, Scott Bassett, our Secretary of Treasury, is sitting down with Zelensky with a very important document. Right? So this will answer. We're going to go through it plainly. Do you think Donald Trump is going to be okay with giving this little criminal our money and walking away? No. There's a reason why Scott Bassett, the consigliere, Secretary of Treasury, is sitting across the table with him. This guy is crapping his pants. I'm telling you the truth. I told you yesterday, he is on his knees begging, absolutely begging Donald Trump not to kill him or allow him to be killed or look the other way. I'm just saying, those are my words. Those are my words, okay? I'm telling you, he is begging for his life. While the media is swooning, oh my God, Trump and his relationship with Russia. Russia has won this war. It's over. This war's been over, okay? Bottom line, Russia is not relinquishing the territory no matter what you say. Bottom line, we have to take this and work from here, right? So this little criminal, right? Oh, is he not going to be part of the discussion? Oh my God. The Biden administration always promised Zelensky to be part of the discussion. Why did Trump call him after he talked to Putin? I'll tell you why. He called him up after he talked to Putin and said, look, here's what's going to happen. He didn't get his take. He didn't get his opinion. Here's what's going to happen. Got it? And you're going to like it. You understand? Now, that being said, Scott Bassett, our Secretary of Treasury, oh my God, Trump didn't end the war on day one. He's cleaning house. So he's over there making a deal saying, look, you have some treasure. We're going to go in your vault and we're going to take some treasure. Okay. Now, I don't know. Some of you don't agree with this, but the bottom line, hey, how about this? How about if Trump was president, whether you agree or disagree, and we invaded, if you want to use the word invade, Iraq, we went to Iraq. What if the next day a guy like that was over there and we said, look, here's how you're going to repay us. We want the oil. Oh my God, I can't believe you're talking like that. But what if? America's always been kicked in the ass. Well, not always, but recently in my lifetime, we get kicked in the ass all around the world. Donald Trump sends the consigliere, Scott Bassett. So our Secretary of Treasury is over there with documents on how he is going to sign to close the deal with us. Second, Pete Hegseth, right? Pete Hegseth has met with let's see, I had this earlier. Who's going to be there Friday? So I understand Pete Hegseth has went to NATO, our Secretary of Defense, and he's told NATO point blank, Zelensky's not getting in. It's not happening. Not happening. Ukraine's not getting into NATO, and the European partners, you guys are going to have to pick up the pace and protect your European region here. We're not putting boots on the ground. We're not sinking a bunch of money in this. All right. You guys are going to have to pick up the weight and handle it. Hegseth. Friday, Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance will meet with Zelensky and finalize this is how it's going to work. You understand? If you come out and you blink the wrong way, you got it? Oh, this is the way it's going down. Now, does that mean we're capitulating? Does that mean we're caving to? Does that Vladimir to Putin? No. We're talking about a war that Biden allowed. We're talking about billions, hundreds of billions of dollars that lawmakers here allowed him to steal at the expense of life. Million people dead as long as him, his cabinet, his wife, his friends could steal our money and put a little bit back for maybe your senator, maybe, or your rep, maybe. Just saying. It ends now. So that is big today. But here's something that is pretty exciting for me. I'm excited this morning that this person, give me number 7, this person is going in to the Oval Office. Yesterday, Tulsi Gabbard was confirmed as the Director of National Intelligence. Now, yesterday she was in the Oval Office and the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, swore her in. Today, she walks into the Oval Office with President Trump's security briefing as the director and gives President Trump all of the security briefing for around the world and all the options. That is someone he could trust is walking in the Oval Office this morning. So a quick note, number 6, number 6, here you go. The vote was 52-47. One Republican no, and who was that? Number 5, Mitch McConnell. Yes, Mitch McConnell. Let's not waste time on that. All right, now next, moving right along. So we're going to all day long be showing you where they no longer control the narrative. It is completely collapsed. I know during the election, you watch programs like this one here. You watch podcasts like Joe Rogan. I mean, you connected to many other things. Did I say number 1? Oh, you just threw it up there? A little shock and awe for everybody, including me. Anyhow, we watched alternative sources But if the deep state, corporate, corrupt, Mockingbird, legacy media, if they could have pulled Kamala Harris over the finish line, then they would have been in the catbird seat, right, to continue to write the narrative and shut down the alternative sources that you pay attention to. But now these outlets are left to do what? Report what happens. There's no fax machine feeding their narrative for the day. In fact, it's what I find interesting is CNN. Remember when I used to show you all the narratives of the morning? You remember that back in the Wayback Machine with Joe Biden? I would show you all the narratives and I would say, wow, they all go to the fax machine and get the same thing off there every morning, and they start with the same narrative. You could pull up 4 legacy medias at 5 a.m. and all 4 would run the same story that they got off the fax machine, and it was their narrative of the day they had to carry. They can't do that anymore. They're freaking out. They're in rooms right now saying, what do you mean we have to actually write it? Now, that being said, moving along, next today, all right, last night was a marathon. I have it here somewhere. Last night was a marathon on the floor battle cry over RFK Jr. So give me number. I thought I had one up here where they were crying on the floor last night, but maybe I don't. So go ahead. Maybe I didn't want it. Give me number 15. So last night they held a marathon with the debate. Democrats stood on the floor last night and debated all night long their hatred for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. confirmation. So here's where we stand. We stand today that he was voted. They voted to close debate, meaning it's a done deal. The next thing is confirmation. That should happen today. So by the end of the day, he will be head of HHS. So they voted to close debate last night. Now will be the confirmation. This is the last step. HHS. Now today is Thursday, and I'll be excited because he did say on day one he would fire X. So I'm excited to see how many he will fire tomorrow. Now, the judge took the pause off. The next judge took the pause off the buyout, which clears the way for Trump to mass fire. That's been cleared. We will get into that in a minute. Absolutely. The mass firing, where is that at? I just absolutely, give me this. What's number 8? Mass firing underway at some federal agencies. And it's understood that there's already a document that's prepared. So when Linda McMahon, we'll get into that, Department of Education is sworn in, it will go in place to dismantle the Department of Education. So mass firings are underway. The judge cleared the way. Look, you can buy these people out. You can offer them a deal. Cleared the way. They're freaking out today. Now, moving right along, let's go back to RFK Jr. and 22. Let's go to 22. So today, he will be confirmed. Now, also, just so you know, where's Kash Patel stand? Where is Kash Patel? that vote is should be today to come out of committee only. Now, cash for FBI director has not been moved out of committee, right? The Democrats put the rule in place, the 1 week stall that they could do. So held it up a week. So today, I understand they should be bringing Kash Patel out of committee. Now, what will happen is then they'll be scheduled for debate, meaning Democrats will have 30 hours to stand on the floor and throw a tantrum, right? And then they have to vote to close debate and then vote to confirm. So Kash Patel, don't look for that till sometime late next week. So this one should be today. And when I say that, here's what I find interesting. And if you out there know of another time, let me know, because this is the first time, because considering this guy is going to get confirmed, CNN, it's almost like, well, we better go figure out who these people are, because number 14. Now, us, we go in the Wayback Machine. We remember when Callie and Casey Means, brother and sister right there, we remember when they met with RFK Jr., they went to Mar-a-Lago. Tucker Carlson said to RFK Jr., you need to get on board with Trump and you need to endorse Trump. And basically, RFK Jr. said, unless Trump endorses these two, if Trump will meet with Callie and Casey, now this is what happened. So Tucker goes, this is my understanding, and I watched it several times. Tucker Carlson goes to RFK Jr. and says, you need to get out of the race and endorse Trump. How can we make that happen? And basically, RFK Jr. said, I'm determined to make America healthy again. Okay. Well, Tucker, you have to meet with these two people here. So Tucker meets with Callie and Casey Means. With RFK, I understand. And RFK basically said to Tucker, look, you get me a meeting with Trump along with them. I think this is the way it went down. It is pretty right there. And if Trump will sign on to these two here, I'll consider it. So they go to Mar-a-Lago. Callie, Casey make a presentation to Trump. RFK Jr., Tucker Carlson. Trump says, I like it. We're going to make America healthy again. I like these two. I'm on board. And he makes a commitment to RFK. If you're serious, you have my full word. Remember how many times on the campaign trail that Trump said, RFK, he can go wild. He can do whatever he wants. Just don't touch my liquid gold under the earth. Remember that? He'd make a joke. But he'd say he's got the green light. Yeah, he's been given the green light. Now, Trump doesn't back off that. He gave him the green light. So CNN is like, oh, crap, if he's confirmed today, these two people are basically going to be inside HHS assisting him on tearing it down. We probably now, they've ignored them. Now, MSNBC, to my knowledge, has never confirmed or acknowledged Callie and Casey Means. Give me number 13. To my knowledge, this brother and sister have never been acknowledged. Now, in the interest of time, if you're wondering, who are they? Google them, Tucker Carlson, and watch the interviews. If you watch Callie and Casey, Tucker Carlson, you can watch RFK, but watch them. They'll tell you the entire story of connecting with Trump and Trump's commitment to make America healthy again, why they are determined, and you'll be 100% up to speed. Now, again, MSNBC, to my knowledge, has never acknowledged these two. But CNN today, they're talking to them because they know after confirmation today, these two, go back to the last one. I know you don't, I got to remember that one. These two right here, 14, the one graduating right there in the middle, the young lady and her brother in the blazer, light blue blazer. As soon as he's confirmed, they'll be at the office tomorrow. Right? Interesting. So CNN's like, okay, we're gonna have to cover this, I guess. That happens today. Now, on one more confirmation, the hearings for Department of Education, right? Linda McMahon. The hearings for Department of Education, Linda McMahon, take place today. And they're freaking out over that one. That's the hearing starts. This is a hearing that took place that, all right, are you still wondering if Trump is sincere? Are you still, because I have to tell you this, all right, before the election, I would have talks with people and we would discuss this. And we would do a roundtable completely of everything. And there would be, what if Trump goes in, and what if? We ran every scenario. Every one. Trump told you what he's going to do in Department of Justice. He told you what he's going to do in FBI. He told you what he's going to do with Ukraine. He told you what he was going to do with firing people and cleaning out the federal government bureaucracy. He told you what he was going to do in pardoning people. He told you what he was going to do at the border. And it's nonstop. Here's one. How many times a day? I sure hope this early in the morning you don't play a drinking game, because a crisis or they're freaking out. Give me number 38. This guy, they are losing it. He was in confirmation hearings yesterday. All right. That's Todd Blanche. Remember, Deputy Attorney General nominee, Todd Blanche. You remember every day when Trump came out of court in New York, he was standing there. Do you recognize that guy? Todd Blanche. Can't make this up. So right now, I want to hear from you. Trump is batting a 100 on the direction he's going and keeping the promises that he made the American people. In fact, this is one of my favorite picks, number 2. The sourpusses, right? These sourpusses, they're crying and crying and crying. Oh, look at that. Now, give me 23. We're going to talk about this because I know what's going to happen. I'm going to have the Democrat or two say, well, you sure talked about this when Biden was in office. Now that inflation, not only soaring, birds soaring, not only is inflation soaring, the price of gas, the concern that interest rates may go back up. Why don't you talk about that? Well, I will. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to make you, I better not make a campaign promise. I'm not running for anything. But I will tell you this. If economics, if the accuracy in economics comes full blown, once Trump gets the tax cuts in place, and the media doesn't want to talk about this, and I will. So you may not like the price of eggs. I get it. And You know, there was the old saying of don't cry over spilled milk. Well, don't freak out if one of the kids drops an egg today. Oh my God, an egg! There goes a full tank of gas. All right. So I know you're not happy about eggs. I'm not happy about eggs. You're not happy about gas. I'm not pleased with it myself. But I do know this. As Elon Musk said yesterday in one of the videos we played, we don't have an option here. There's not an alternative, folks. We're broke. We got to bring it in. We got to figure it out. We have to cut the spending. So I will tell you this. Once the world and the money around the world, once they see that we're really getting our fiscal house in order, watch what happens. Not just a tax deal, the full circle of our fiscal house, cutting waste, drawing down bureaucracy, cutting the money that's being funneled through laundromats of Ukraine and around the world. Once they see our fiscal house in order, it will all come full circle. You'll be okay. Take a break.
Days Chevrolet Jasper is North Georgia's business elite commercial truck giant. Box trucks, landscape trucks, flatbed and heavy hauling trucks. When you've got a job to do, we've got the commercial truck for you. And get a federal tax credit up to 100% of the purchase price. Hundreds of commercial trucks are all right here at Days Chevrolet Jasper. Days Chevrolet. Days gets it done. Together, let's drive.
Body Shop in Ellijay. Family owned and operated since 1978. The latest in cutting-edge digital technology and state-of-the-art equipment allow our iCard Gold Class certified technicians to restore your vehicle. Our second-to-none customer service will work directly with your insurance company. Major accident or minor fender bender, we take the dents out of accidents. Larry's Body Shop, North Georgia's #1 body shop. Visit us at collisiondecision.com.
Why give your money to liberal media companies? Put your marketing needs in the hands of a conservative marketing professional and start getting results today. FYN Media Group, one of the top digital marketing agencies in Georgia, specializes in website design and hosting, social media promotion and management, and so much more. Visit FYNmediagroup.com or call 706-889-3564 for a free consultation.
Ladies, when you wear elegant jewelry, you become a force to be reckoned with. You shine brighter than the stars in the sky, and your inner beauty radiates like the sun. So embrace the magic, embrace the elegance, and let your jewelry be a reflection of your true, authentic self. My friends over at North Georgia Diamond know what a woman wants. Go see them for the perfect gift. And remember, when it comes to elegance, there's no such thing as too much. Come see us at North Georgia Diamond. We're igniting passion one sparkle at a time.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
This is a special report.
Knowing how to invest your money is harder than ever before. Dealing with stock market volatility, record debt, and terrorist attacks requires new thinking. At U.S. Asset Management, we can help you see the world more clearly so that you can move beyond the chaos and invest with confidence. Call us, visit us online, or drop by our office. U.S. Asset Management, helping you make better decisions with your money.
Mesquite Grill, now offering online ordering for your convenience. Check out our new website at mesquitegrillbr.com. That's mesquitegrillbr.com. The great food and service you have come to expect, ready for you when you arrive. Open 7 days a week with a fully stocked bar and friendly service. Bring your furry friends with you and dine on our pet-friendly patio. Also, check out our catering options and let us prepare delicious food for your next event.
All right, folks, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. You're watching BKP Politics on voiceofruralamerica.com. Thank you for joining us at 9 a.m. We will have the Georgia Hour at 9 a.m. No, that's not right, Diane. That's not right. Diane's like sitting in there saying, so you changed things again. When am I going to get an email on that? No, I'm sorry, Diane. At 10 a.m., we will have the Georgia Hour with BKP. Now, Diane, I know I didn't tell you this before the break, but have it ready so when I ask, because we're going to highlight the truth in education. And I just want to make this quick programming note. I'm your host, BKP. You're watching BKP Politics on voiceofruralamerica.com. Let me say this. I've said this over and over, and Make America Great Again starts at home. Okay, so if you're sitting back and you're watching all these moves in D.C. and you're seeing all these corrupt deals being exposed and all the fake fraud and theft coming to the surface, because you remember what Trump said, there's kickbacks. There's kickbacks. They're reviewing the kickbacks now. Folks, if you think that did not result in your states, if you think that did not result from federal government to your state, right to your local county, period, okay? So Make America Great Again and Doge trickles down. Some don't like trickle down, and I do. Ronald Reagan, my hero. But it trickles down right into the budget of your county, because your state, they're waiting for that money that's getting printed by the Fed. And once they get it, they're kicking up, kicking a little to everybody to stay on board with them. It's all a devious, deceitful, corrupt circle. It just is. Now, that being said, some of you are not happy about Trump taking the minerals. Some of you are not happy about Trump taking the minerals. Now, when you get a moment, if you want to take a time and look at history, you could look at where Ukraine, actually Ukraine belonged to Mother Russia for, I think, about 400 years. I'm not picking a side. Oh my God, we got to shove Ukraine back up in there. But Ukraine belonged to Mother Russia for 400 years. Ukraine claimed their independence. The USSR broke up. Now, the largest stockpile, now I'm not going to say in the world, but close, the largest stockpile of nuclear weapons was in Ukraine. And briefly, when the USSR dismantled, briefly, there was like, okay, if Russia's like, okay, if we're going to give Ukraine their independence, they're not going to be sitting there with enough firepower to blow us off the face of the earth. So Ukraine has to dismantle all nukes, and they do. They dismantle. Go look it all up. Everything I'm telling you. I'm paraphrasing some stuff, okay? Because there's always going to be the one or two that's going to yell, I have this wrong. But Ukraine dismantles all their nukes. They're now a country without nuclear weapons. One time, the largest landmass, I think, of nuclear weapons in the world, maybe. So that's one of the deals. Clean it out. They're not going to be right here on our border able to wipe us off. Second, NATO cannot move any further. Now, I know some are going to push back and say, well, what about Crimea? What about Georgia? What about the aggression of Vladimir Putin over here and over here? I get it. But NATO was not supposed to move another inch closer to Russia. Well, we broke all those deals. We started making deals that our incursion into Russian territory or close to their borders was unacceptable. Now, this is not me picking sides. Now, if the Russian people, all right, they will always tell you over there, certain pockets, that Russia manipulates their elections. Where have I heard that before? But Russia has said several of these regions in Ukraine, let them vote if they want to get out, right? And let Russia annex them. That's come up in the past. So here we are, 1 million people dead, weapons stolen, cash stolen, corruption, a bed of corruption that we've known about all along. Every one of these lawmakers that said that Ukraine and funding Ukraine was important to the security of Europe and supporting our allies, I can go on and on. Now, we're going to break this down. Some of you don't like the deal on the minerals, right? But if you show up and you say to the guy, okay, how are you going to give our money back? I don't have any. What do you mean you don't have any? I don't have any. Where'd it go? You spent that much money? Well, so what may be interesting, I'm going to go out here first, is in the deal for Zelensky to keep his mouth shut. When I mean on the agreement, the deal on Zelensky to maybe continue a quiet, nice life after he's taken out of office may be to turn evidence. I think it's coming. All right. So here you go. We have number 11. We'll go over a couple graphics. Hegseth NATO membership for Ukraine is an unrealistic objective, right? Hegseth's over there. No, they're not joining you. They're not joining, right? Let's go with, here it is, the map, number 16, Zelensky. I don't think the door to NATO was ever truly open. What? Wasn't that? So here is before 2014, and here is Ukraine today. pretty much all of the area that we've shown you for years on a map. This could have been over a long time ago, but remember when Zelensky knew he was stealing billions and Biden woke up and at 10 a.m. signed another $400 million arms deal and another $400 million arms deal. It sent money to pay their bills. He continued to stand up as though he was so bold, saying, we will not give up 1 inch, not 1 inch. All right, so here you go. Oh, I didn't think it was truly ever obtainable. Number 17, I love Scott Bassett. Is it Bassett? He is the Secretary of the Treasury. He is over there now with the agreement. I don't think the door was ever open. Look at Vladimir Zelensky. He is a nervous wreck. There's a knock. This guy is so afraid. I mean, he really is. He's afraid of what's happening next. Okay? I can't wait for the movie to come out. And I want to know who's going to play Bassett when he walks in the room and says, this is how it's going to work. I mean, I hope I'm alive when the movie comes out. Number 18, Trump and Zelensky. His poll numbers aren't particularly great. Now, I'll explain that in a minute because they asked Trump, is he going to be part of the negotiation? Like, I don't know. Maybe they need an election. You know, he doesn't have great poll numbers. Why would we bring him in? Right? Number 19. I love this. They have to make peace, Trump said. Look at Zelensky. Like, man, I can't believe I got caught. Number 20. Do you view Ukraine as an equal member of the peace process? That's a hard one to answer. This is great. Now, I do not believe Vladimir Putin is getting the upper hand on anyone. I think Vladimir Putin has had the upper hand for a long time. We'll get into the eggs in just a minute. Here we go. Number 27. Trump talks with Zelensky about possibilities of achieving peace. Poor little guy. I mean, he could be back on a vaudeville act any day now. He could be out there doing his clown act on a unicycle. Like, we could be doing a show like, where is he now? Where is he now? Remember the guy that was stealing everything? And number 28, the media, Trump talks to Putin about ending the war in Ukraine. Number 29, you knew this was coming. America backing away from allies. Our media again, peace talks coming soon. Number 30. And let's stop right here for a minute. Number 34. Trump says he does not think it's practical to have Ukraine join NATO. Oh, here's my favorite. This is the consigliere, number 35. I love this picture. Here's what we're going to do. He's very calm. I could tell this banker guy has got his briefcase. And so CNN freaking out. Let's go. We'll start right down the line. I think this was Anderson Cooper this last night at 10 o'clock. I watch it at 4 a.m. Video 1, Trump's peace process. Video 1, CNN.
Office being asked directly about it.
Do you view Ukraine as an equal member of this peace process?
It's an interesting question. I think they have to make peace. Their people are being killed, and I think they have to make peace.
Didn't really answer the question. The president also...
That's an interesting question. Not really. Not really. Not really. Not really. This clown has stole from the American people. No, not really. Remember how many years, months, days, weeks, days, hours I've told you who has been Trump's one of his top advisors or top, Tucker Carlson, right? Remember, we watched it, you watched it when Tucker went over and interviewed Vladimir Putin in Russia, right? Remember that? And the other day, was it a week ago, that Zelensky said something real nasty about Tucker? I wish he'd quit kissing ass. I think he said something else. Kissing the Russian's ass. He got mad. I hate he caught me. All right. Video 2. CNN Trump. Zelensky, the territory, his poll numbers. Are you going to have an election? And Pete Hegseth. Give me video 2, CNN.
Also would not commit to restoring Ukraine's pre-invasion border, suggesting instead that Kyiv would have to give up territory.
Would you support Zelensky ceding territory or exchanging territory in any agreement to end the war?
Well, he's going to have to do what he has to do, but, you know, his poll numbers aren't particularly great, to put it mildly.
When asked whether Zelensky would be frozen out of the peace process, the president said, quote, "I don't think so as long as he's there, but you know at some point you're going to have an election too." He did not say anything similar about Vladimir Putin. And if there didn't seem to be many comforting words for Ukraine from the president, there was little either earlier today from his defense secretary meeting with NATO allies in Brussels.
We want, like you, a sovereign and prosperous Ukraine. But we must start by recognizing that returning to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders is an unrealistic objective. The United States does not believe that NATO membership for Ukraine is a realistic outcome of a negotiated settlement.
Now, those are very clear positions the administration is taking. One question tonight is why take so many bargaining chips off the negotiating table before talks with Russia even get started?
Let me tell you why we take so many bargaining chips off the table there, Anderson. It's because he has stolen the last dime from the American people. This has all been a hoax, okay? And they know it. They carry this narrative. They're next. In my opinion, they're next. This guy's not going to get away with these crimes. He's not going to. And I'm not a Putin or Russian sympathizer. This guy's not going to get away with the crimes. And I'm going to show you, there's a reason he's over there. Now, the borders, they've changed. Period. It's done. It's over. No more people getting killed. You're not getting any more money. We're not sending you any more tanks. Period. We are going to end up, I hope to God not, in a war with cartels in Mexico, and you're going to hear reports that we're battling against our own tanks, our own equipment, our American-made stuff that may be funneled through where? Afghanistan? You can't make this up. So, some of this will sound the same in these clips, but there's different reactions from the media, and it's the reason I'm playing them. If you're not aware of this, Ukraine has not had elections in God knows how long. Zelensky put in place martial law. They have no elections. The people have just been getting murdered and murdered and murdered, and they've been going around. There's video. They've been going around in vans, rounding up young men, middle-aged men, older guys, rounding them up, throwing them in vans, and putting them in the military. Rounding them up. Martial law. Their parliament, they've all been in on the steal. Their parliament, their president, prime minister, whatever the hell he is, no elections whatsoever. You and I have been supporting them because they know if they had open, free elections, the people of Ukraine may vote them out and say, stop the war and let's do something. All right, so let's make some kind of deal. But as long as the money was flowing from the Biden administration and the laundromat was running 24/7, the kickbacks, we will find out. I hope and pray that we will find out. So here is MSNBC's, their opening. Oh my God, Trump and Vladimir Putin. Give me video 4. I think this is the opening of MSNBC at 5 a.m. Video 4.
Trump predicting a ceasefire for the war in Ukraine after speaking to Presidents Putin and Zelensky yesterday. The question is, how will Putin's relationship with Trump impact those peace talks? Meanwhile, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth laid out hardline stances on the future of Ukraine and U.S. relations with NATO members. The question is America backing away from its European allies? Plus, Senate Democrats hold a marathon protest over the nomination of HHS Secretary RFK Jr. ahead of his confirmation vote today. The question is, was it all a lost cause? It's way too early.
These dumbasses just kill me. They really do. They really do. We have partners around the world. We have real allies around the world. And if we do not do something, you realize North Korea, like them, hate them, whatever. They now are a nuclear power, like it, hated, whatever. They could take out Japan. They could take out South Korea, right? They could shoot towards the Philippines. They say they have a rocket that could hit, right, Hawaii or the West Coast, the continental USA. I don't know. But we're dealing with that. So North Korea has boots on the ground in Ukraine fighting for Russia. We've got to settle this down. And they both have, right, agreements with who? China. China wants Taiwan. Trump has zero choice but to settle this thing down. Are we turning against our allies? So, MSNBC video 5.
Canadian president.
Are you freezing out President Zelensky of this process a bit? Isn't there a danger of that?
No, I don't think so. As long as he's there, but at some point you're going to have elections too. You're going to have an election.
Do you view Ukraine as an equal member of this peace process?
It's an interesting question. I think they have to make peace. Their people are being killed, and I think they have to make peace.
Certainly an interesting and important question. President Trump spoke with Putin, but he also spoke.
Interesting question. That's an interesting question. Do you consider me? That's interesting. They have to be there. They have no choice. They have to make peace. They're not getting an option here. You understand? Why the Biden administration and Blinken and Jake Sullivan and all of those great negotiators, and Lloyd Austin was over there supporting NATO. We all agreed that we would not have peace negotiations without Ukraine at the table as an equal partner in the talks. And even Zelensky stood up and pounded his chest. If I'm not there, right? I'm not a tall guy, but I can't remember the last time the world was in such fear, especially some people, of this little sawed-off runt. I know that was wrong, right? I mean, like, really? Anyhow, and it's not because they were in fear of him. They were giving him billions and billions of dollars, and he was washing it and sending it back. We will find that where it was coming back. So that's interesting. Now, Trump continues to say they have to have elections. They have to have elections. They could have elections and this guy's gone, so I don't know why he has to be at the table. Maybe he doesn't have to be at the table. Maybe the new guy or new lady, whoever gets elected. We'll see. So we were all waiting to hear from this person, right? Video 7, you know you were waiting to hear from this person.
Security Advisor John Bolton says the celebrations have already begun in the Kremlin.
I don't have any expectations anymore. I think we know exactly what's going to happen. President Trump has effectively surrendered to Putin before the negotiations have even begun.
CNN Global Affairs.
Really? Video 9, CNN. Now, again, these are some of the things you've already heard, but you're going to hear the media response to it. Video 9, CNN.
The isolation of President Putin has finished, and there was this call with President Trump. But we, of course, are also concerned that the responsibility to support Ukraine is being put on our European partners, and we don't hear that our European partners are really ready to accept this responsibility. So, Jim, the key question is rather from Ukrainian people. Today, they were asking me, like, what have we done wrong? Like, where did we go wrong in our attempts, in our fight, in the values that we are fighting for, in the steps that we are taking every single day? And I do not have a good answer to that.
You don't have a good answer because you're a corrupt member of parliament over there and you've been stealing our money. As a member of parliament, the Ukrainian people are asking, where did we go wrong? Well, you didn't really. It's us. You never stood a chance. We never stood a chance. And now we're being told that the Europeans have to pick up, let's go ahead and listen to Pete Hegseth on that video 12, Diane. Let's listen to the membership discussion from Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, video 12.
The United States does not believe that NATO membership for Ukraine is a realistic outcome of a negotiated settlement. Instead, any security guarantee must be backed by capable European and non-European troops. If these troops are deployed as peacekeepers to Ukraine at any point, they should be deployed as part of a non-NATO mission, and they should not be covered under Article 5. There also must be robust international oversight of the line of contact. To be clear, as part of any security guarantee, there will not be U.S. troops deployed to Ukraine.
Okay, so here's what we're telling you. Ukraine is not going to be a part of NATO. So let's get this straight, okay? You're spending, by the way, Pete Hegseth told our Ukrainian partners over there, you have to start bringing your spending up to 5%. Your military spending has to come up to 5%. 2% is not going to cut it. So that's number one. This is so bold. This is so bold because I have heard our deep state, corporate, corrupt, mockingbird, legacy media cry Article 5, Article 5, Article 5, and where would we stand and boots on the ground, and we could be drugged into a war, one thing after another, right? Now, Article 5 says if one's attacked, all's attacked, right? That's Article 5. Article 5 of NATO came into play when we were attacked on 9/11, or however you see 9/11. I'll leave that up to you. Article 5, NATO came into effect. If one's attacked, all attacked. That's Article 5. People don't realize, or you and I do, how bold that statement is. Meaning, look, it's time. They're not going to become a part of NATO. We're going to work out a deal with Russia, okay? It's time for Europe to pick up and protect Europe. So you make a deal with Ukraine, pick it up. Now, you need to know something. If you send troops into Ukraine and you call them peacekeeping mission. So, look, Macron, France, whoever, if you guys send troops into Ukraine, call it a peacekeeping mission as part of the deal. Keep in mind, it's not a NATO mission. Got it? It's not a NATO mission. Second, if you get in there and you get attacked, it's not Article 5. We didn't ask you to go. You understand? So if you go in Ukraine, something happens, you get attacked. Don't be screaming Article 5. We didn't ask you to go there. We're letting you know up front it's not our mission. You got to pay attention. I mean, this is strong. This is very bold. All right? We're not getting rolled. We're not worldwide getting rolled. It's not going to happen any longer. Europe is not going to. So let's go. We talked about that right there. Let's go with Zelensky being squeezed out. Video 11. I want this one right here. Video 11.
Without Ukraine's participation.
Freezing out President Zelensky of this process a bit. Isn't there a danger of that?
No, I don't think so. As long as he's there, but at some point you're going to have elections too.
What's he talking about there? President Trump and his Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth are already ruling out NATO membership for Ukraine, also warning the Ukrainians not to expect to recover territory taken by force by Russia. Here was President Volodymyr Zelensky's response.
I don't think that this door to NATO was ever truly open. I've always said that. We wanted it very much, and we were constantly told about the open door policy. And you know that we know the policy of the United States of America, the previous administration's policy for all these years, and the current administration with regard to NATO. Nobody is inviting us to NATO yet.
Joining us now.
Now he's standing there next to the consigliere, right? Where is the Zelensky that, that we unveiled or unfurled or whatever it is, the Ukrainian, the Nancy Pelosi. Remember Nancy and Kamala? And we put the Ukrainian flag in our House of Representatives. It said, please, please. And they handed out, remember the Democrats handed out them little flags? And they were doing this, right? As he was there in his military, right, fatigues. Where was that guy? Where was that guy that stood up and said, and pounded the desk and said, we will not give up 1 inch, not 1 inch. We will not forfeit any land to the evil Russians, right? We will be part of NATO. We want your missiles. Where was that guy? That guy yesterday, standing next to Scott Bissett, was like, look, he was shifting his eyes like, there's a guy over on the side. He's got a gun. Like, don't say anything. The guy over in the corner. He keeps shifting his eyes like, you see the guy over there? Oh, I'm happy. I'll be happy to get there. Oh, sure. Just let me know, President Trump. Trump talked to Vladimir Zelensky for 90 minutes and then talked to him. One more time. Trump talked to Vladimir Putin, in Russia, Vladimir Putin for 90 minutes and then talked to him. Told him how it was going to work. So now, MSNBC, have you noticed all the networks do not know how they did not get they were not part of the narrative, right? They're not part of the narrative. They don't know what to do. So over on MSNBC, they bring in Stephen Ratner on Morning Joe to try to explain why our Treasury Secretary is over there. So let's go with the minerals. Just a couple days ago, video 17. Zelensky, I'm ready to give you anything you want. Just let me live is my take. Video 17.
Подивитись. Так, от дивіться. These deposits are priceless. It is huge amounts of money. Huge. That is why we need to protect it. So if we are talking about a deal, that's what the Americans want, then let's do a deal. We are only for it. Let's do the deal.
Ось ви бачите. І галузь дуже розвинута була, потім вони все підірвали. І це те, про що я говорив.
This is what I told President Trump when we were together. I told him, this is the victory plan. Why victory? Victory for all. We will protect those trillions. We will prevent Russia from mining the minerals which will later be used to produce technologies for the three countries of the axis of evil. The Americans helped the most, and therefore the Americans should earn the most. And in rebuilding Ukraine, they should have this priority, and they will. I would also like to talk about this with President Trump.
We have collateral. We have collateral. Please let me live. Please let me live. I promise. We have collateral. You get first dibs. I promise. Some of you don't like what you're hearing. And I just want to put it out there. If you're thinking, well, who's going to pay to rebuild Ukraine? You need to understand, Google it, DuckDuckGo it, or whatever you do. Safari it, you go and look. Years ago, 2 years ago, the Biden administration, we'll call it that, Biden had no idea he was there, but the Biden administration took BlackRock over there, and there was a rebuilding program or rebuilding plan put into place with BlackRock 2 years ago. Exactly. Now, so they're trying to explain why this guy is here. Listen to Morning Joe, Steve Ratner, on how we're going to get our money back. Video 18.
Scott Bessent meeting with Zelensky, and there's this talk now about access to what they have in exchange for military support.
Yeah, look, there's two pieces to this. I think more traditionally, a Treasury Secretary would go in there to talk about how do we rebuild this place, how do we get it back to be able to function as a normal country, you know, in a small way, like what we did in Europe after World War II. In this administration, Trump is also talking about, like, how do I get my money back? I got a lot of money over there, so what do I want back? And Ukraine has a lot of natural resources. Ukraine could be a buyer of things from us. And so they're trying to do an economic deal that not only helps Ukraine, but also helps the U.S. in a fairly classic Trump kind of move.
So,
in a classic Trump kind of move, in a classic Trump kind of move, we got it all figured out. It's done. Scott Bessett's over there looking at him saying, the war's over. The war's over, okay? How do I get my money back? And even Stephen Ratner says this is a classic Trump move, and like, it's not bad. How am I getting my money back? It's not a bad move. Trump's not playing games. Because let me say this, every time, we're going to sum it up. Every single time you have heard anything today about Trump or watch Trump shrug his shoulders, give the impression, I don't care one minute about this guy. If you've watched any videos today or throughout the day, every time this guy's name comes up from any of the media, Trump has that expression like, I don't care. I don't care what happens to this guy come tomorrow. I care a little. I'm interested in getting our money back. Putin no longer advancing. We make some kind of deal to calm down things. Now, the Japanese prime minister was here last week. The Japanese prime minister. And the Japanese prime minister is asking President Trump, please do something. Because the South Asian peninsula there is getting ready to erupt. And Please do something. And I've said it over and over and over. I don't know how many people understand the mess that was laid on this man's desk worldwide. Now, we had to go to Russia for this, right? You and I both know that. Let's look at a little bit of what is around the world on Russia. Number 58. This is not from our media. NATO chief praises Putin-Trump phone call as successful. All right? Oh, they know. They've been put in check. Here is Russian, also number 59. Putin, Trump speak over the phone. Kremlin. All right? Number 60. Ukraine brought to catastrophe, faces collapse of statehood. Russian intel chief. It's over for Ukraine. It's over. All right? Number 61. Pentagon rules out Ukraine joining NATO. Russia Today. Full stories there. And what CNN, or most of them, are not reporting, you got France, you got all of them, Germany and all of them, they're a nervous wreck. Because, like, look, if you want to send peacekeeping troops, you send them. You keep two things in mind. You're doing that on your own. It's not a NATO mission. We're not signing on to that as NATO. And if you get attacked, it's not Article 5. That is so bold. Number 62, Russia has won the war against the West. What the Putin-Trump call really means, this is an article I would go read, and they will track you. After you go to all these websites, you will be on some kind of list. 63, Sputnik, Musk fraud. This is the one I absolutely love. Musk fraud probes may explain urgency of Trump-Putin call on ending Ukraine crisis, ex-DOD analysis. Trump appears to have a better understanding of the causes and conditions of Ukraine-Russia and the U.S.-NATO versus Russia conflict. I'm just saying we can get further into this, but the Doge, right? The fraud, Elon Musk finding the fraud. All right, that's why Zelensky, see the Ukrainian flag hanging over there in our house. So I got one more. Let's see. Give me this one here. Let's go ahead and go with this one here. Number 64. Pentagon chief casts doubt on Ukraine-NATO gamble as peace talks loom. I'm just showing you this is all over. Here's the Telegraph, right? Is this the Telegraph 65? Sorry about that. U.S. denies betraying Ukraine after Trump Putin. Now you see how it changes. This is the Telegraph over in Europe, right? U.S. denies betraying Ukraine after Trump Putin call. We did not betray Ukraine. Now, Diane, I'm going to want, I'll tell you what this is to wrap this segment. I'm going to want number 45, not right now, okay? And I want to play this. Give me video 10.
Let me ask you this, because you heard President Trump's comment there saying, and then Ukraine will have to have elections. That caught my attention there, because Trump has often publicly criticized the Ukrainian President, Volodymyr Zelensky. Do you believe Trump wants Zelensky gone?
Well, I have no information about that, but I can tell you clearly that it is very hard, almost impossible to conduct the elections right now when we have around 1 million people serving in our army and we have at least 8 million people abroad. And of course, Russia will have a huge influence and try to influence the next Ukrainian elections. So the sequence needs to be first, end of the war, and second, elections.
Do you think he wants him gone? Yes. Yes. And it's been impossible to have elections. We have martial law. It's been impossible because if you have elections and the people vote new people in, then how do we continue to steal our money? We've been stealing from you for years. It just wouldn't work out. So let's round this all together, right? Let's tie it all up. I told you, 2 days ago, Diane? We played this video 2 days ago, right? And I told you Tucker Carlson is Trump's top advisor. And every time you see Trump at the podium, okay, give me number 20. We'll just go with number 20. You see Trump at the podium and he's being asked these questions, right? Do you view Ukraine as an equal member of the peace process? Hell no. No. I don't consider anyone that would do this. Video 16.
Second fact, not guess, fact is Ukrainian military is selling a huge percentage, up to half of the arms that we send them. Half. And I'm not guessing about this. I know that for a fact, okay? Not speculation. And they're selling it, and a lot of it's winding up with the drug cartels on our border. So this is a crime, what's happening. Our intel agencies are fully aware of this. You tell me they're not profiting from this. Of course, you think CIA is not profiting from this? Yes, they are. I can't prove that, but I believe that. What they don't know this. I know this, but they don't know this. They know this. And no one is saying it. Like, no American seems aware of this. We're sending these arms to Ukraine, hundreds of billions of dollars, and it's being stolen and sold to our actual enemies. Like, what the? I'm trying not to swear. What is this?
Yeah, well, the reason why is because you have Zelensky, it was about 3 weeks ago, I think, was specifically asked this question. So he went at some length in one of his interviews to say, oh, no, absolutely not. There's no truth to that at all. We've implemented all these things. I know that, but the media just reported what he said.
You know, the New York Times could get on the web and order Ukrainian weapons. That's a fact. I'm not guessing. It's a fact. They could do that today.
Okay, Diane, I was writing it down. I think I'm up to 5. 1, 2, 3. I think just in that minute and a half, that's a fact, was said 5 times. 5 times. That's a fact. CIA may be profiting, right? Now, remember this. Half of billions of dollars worth of military equipment we're sending could be ending up and sold to cartels, right? Now, 3 weeks ago, remember this. Don't forget it, because you're going to hear all these different. Remember 3 weeks ago, Zelensky was asked this question, and he freaked out. No truth. He went nuts. He was asked this question, not by our media, but he was asked, are you selling? I mean, there's a lot of people reporting, or not a lot, but at least Tucker and some, that you're selling the military, you're selling stuff on the black market. He lost it. He lost it about 3 weeks ago, just went berserk. Now, this was all set up to ask him that because I know for a fact the Trump administration wanted to see his reaction, wanted to see how angry it made him, to the point, you can look it up, I don't want to say it, that he said, Tucker Carlson needs to quit licking Russia's behind, right? It freaked him out. He got so mad. So he was asked the questions. The Trump administration wanted to see how he reacted to the questions. He lost his mind is a lie. We know for a fact, and Trump has made him a deal. This is my opinion. Clearly my opinion, okay? Donald Trump did not say this. Administration did not say this. But just from watching movies of how it might work, he's offered him a chance to live. That's my take. Is he going to be any negotiator? Really? You think I care? This guy that stole from my people, our country, you really think I care about this little piece of garbage? That's how I feel. So anyhow, Give me that. What did that number I told you I wanted before I went out? Did you save that number I wanted? I said I'm going to want that in a minute. There it is. You had to go to Russia. And I'm not a Russian sympathizer. I'm not a Putin sympathizer. I don't want to hear that bullshit thrown at me. Okay? Ukrainian army selling U.S. weapons to Mexican cartels, Tucker Carlson says. Yeah, we care. We care if Zelensky is at the table. Guess what? We're tired of the killing. It's over. We're going to settle this once and for all and try to work, as they say, with our allies, our Asian partners, where Japan just said they're going to put $1 trillion worth of investment into this country, try to calm some things down around the world that Biden and his corrupt friends have blown up. And that's all I got to say about that for right now. Take a break.
Days Chevrolet Jasper is North Georgia's business elite commercial truck giant. Box trucks, landscape trucks, flatbed and heavy hauling trucks. When you've got a job to do, we've got the commercial truck for you. And get a federal tax credit up to 100% of the purchase price. Hundreds of commercial trucks are all right here at Days Chevrolet Jasper. Days Chevrolet. Days gets it done. Together, let's drive.
Larry's Body Shop in Ellijay. Family owned and operated since 1978. The latest in cutting-edge digital technology and state-of-the-art equipment allow our iCard Gold Class certified technicians to restore your vehicle. Our second-to-none customer service will work directly with your insurance company. Major accident or minor fender bender, we take the dents out of accidents. Larry's Body Shop, North Georgia's #1 body shop. Visit us at collisiondecision.com.
Why give your money to liberal media companies? Put your marketing needs in the hands of a conservative marketing professional and start getting results today. FYN Media Group, one of the top digital marketing agencies in Georgia, specializes in website design and hosting, social media promotion and management, and so much more. Visit FYNmediagroup.com or call 706-889-3564 for a free consultation.
Ladies, when you wear elegant jewelry, you become a force to be reckoned with. You shine brighter than the stars in the sky, and your inner beauty radiates like the sun. So embrace the magic, embrace the elegance, and let your jewelry be a reflection of your true, authentic self. My friends over at North Georgia Diamond know what a woman wants. Go see them for the perfect gift. And remember, when it comes to elegance, there's no such thing as too much. Come see us at North Georgia Diamond. We're igniting passion one sparkle at a time.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
This is a special report.
Knowing how to invest your money is harder than ever before. Dealing with stock market volatility, record debt, and terrorist attacks requires new thinking. At U.S. Asset Management, we can help you see the world more clearly so that you can move beyond the chaos and invest with confidence. Call us, visit us online, or drop by our office. U.S. Asset Management, helping you make better decisions with your money.
Mesquite Grill, now offering online ordering for your convenience. Check out our new website at mesquitegrillbr.com. That's mesquitegrillbr.com. The great food and service you have come to expect, ready for you when you arrive. Open 7 days a week with a fully stocked bar and friendly service. Bring your furry friends with you and dine on our pet-friendly patio. Also, check out our catering options and let us prepare delicious food for your next event.
You know, Diane, now that I think about it, Zelensky's about my size. Just saying. It's a chance I'm willing to take. All right, folks, I'm your host, BKP, and you're watching BKP Politics on voiceofruralamerica.com. Ask Donald Trump's like, ask me if I care about Zelensky and his future. Now, let's go with this briefly because I understand basic economics, okay, supply and demand. Now, let me just say that, okay? I don't have a degree in economics, but I understand basic economics. I took Economics 101 and made an A. One of the only classes, an A plus actually, one of the only classes I made an A. One of the only ones, but I didn't have to read the book. I know, I'm just saying I didn't have to read the book. I really didn't have to study it. You know, if Jimmy made this many widgets and he had this much demand, all the above. So I understand the simple supply and demand graph of economics, but we have a lot of factors. Now, something that we have done in America is we have changed reporting. The data, how it gets reported, is not accurate. It's not real. Unemployment numbers, CPI, inflation rates, some things are just not calculated properly. And I'm looking at the eggs, and I get it, okay? So I'm looking at that. Give me oh, you're funny. You're ha-ha funny, Skeeter. You're ha-ha funny. Actually, I do think that's funny. So give me number 23. So I received a message which is correct. If Trump on January 21st had ordered that everyone had to reduce prices 20% in 5 days, or even immediately, it would not have shown up in the January inflation or CPI numbers. No one could have ordered enough stuff, gotten it in, gotten on the shelf, and had it purchased in 10 days. So right now, we know this. Here's what I could say with confidence. The Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, okay, the Democrats, the deep state, wanted to immediately set Trump up to have difficulty coming out of the gate concerning inflation, prices, whatever. Now, they set us up. It's a time release capsule. I mean, so one day, 6 months ago, you're sitting there and just all of a sudden in 10 seconds, someone says bird flu, and it's the last time it's said. Like, okay, so a bird got the flu somewhere, right? And you move on. You go to the store, eggs are still $1.99 or whatever. You move on. It doesn't dawn on you. Then a month later, you hear bird flu twice. This is done on purpose, twice, okay? And eggs are no longer $1.99. They're $2.08. But you're not thinking, right? So when Trump won, they held back the bird flu. They held back. Now, we're talking about the same people, because people are going to say, boy, this is pretty conspiracy theory. Now, we know people like Anthony Fauci. We know people that created a virus in a lab. We know people that released a virus on us. We know people that watched as millions of people died. We know that. We're investigating now. Many of you have evidence of the timeline. The virus was released, the election, all the above. So the bird flu. Trump gets elected, and you have spread of the bird flu leads to soaring egg prices. And you got 24. Now, here is the bottom line. When someone walks in and picks that dozen eggs up, 97 out of 100 do no research whatsoever of why that dozen eggs is $8, $7, whatever. No, basically, no one does that research. All they know is when they get to the cash register, that dozen eggs is $8, and they're not happy about it. Period. I get that. And also, the Biden administration, we'll call it that, they know this also. Now, they want to lead you to believe that Trump's actions are the cause of this, and they're not. Give me number 25. 21, here's what I understand. In 2025, table egg layer losses by production system, right? We have lost, this is what it's saying, we have lost conventional caged, cage-free, organic. We have lost 21,103,700 birds have been taken out of circulation, we'll call it. We've lost that many cluckers. Just saying. 21 million cluckers, chickens laying an egg, gone. How did that happen? Right? Now, let me say this. So they're over there and they've got, they're trying to scare people, and they've got Ratner, and we'll run with this. Let me make sure I don't have anything on that. All right, so let me go with this one right here. Give me number 43. So they brought in Ratner here to say inflation remains persistent. All right. Interest rates are predicted to go higher. So here's the bottom line. Bottom line, all right? Let me put this together. I have it here in my formally. What is this one there? Here it is, 41. Give me number 41. Inflation remains high. Persistent. It remains persistent. And then let's go with 42. Stephen Ratner, they brought him in to show you the charts. Now, keep in mind, every time you see one of these charts, these are the same people that tried to manipulate how you felt last year, tried to manipulate how you felt about inflation, how you felt about prices, how you felt things were going. They were running a narrative that they were trying to manipulate you. So today, we've got the Financial Times. Where are they at? I had them there just one moment ago. That's number 39. And this is what they're running with this morning. U.S. inflation unexpectedly increases to 3% in January. Now, last month, they would call that number 3. I want to get out because I want to talk about the Department of Education. So here's the thing. Here's the deal, Vern. The continuing resolution, the CR, runs out March 14th. Today is February 13th. We love to live in economic financial crisis in America, but we do. So we have till March 14th, the CR runs out. Now, if we renew the CR, I think we have a problem, okay? And if you hear they need spending for the border, emergency spending for the border immediately, that is true, but there are avenues we could, okay? There are avenues we could to move money to make that happen, all right? Here you go, number 71. I want to come back to this one. Trump's mass deportation plan hits its own wall, all right? Folks, we have billions of dollars over here. What they will tell you is it's designated for this. It's in this budget. It's a line item over here, but they're not going to use it. Doesn't mean we can shift it over here. The truth of the matter is the money is there. We could move the money, and my concern is that they will use border security money, need for money, to push something immediately that doesn't do the trick. Now, back to the economy. Once, I said this early on, once they know we're getting our financial house in order. Look at this right here. Where is this one? Let's go with this one right here. Hi, Diane. I don't even know if I said hello. I had here a minute ago, and somebody sent it to me. Where's the one where we found the money? Is this it? Yeah, give me number 72. You could go all day. We could do a 7-hour show. People say, well, you didn't bring this up and you didn't bring this up. Look at this, Reuters. Reuters was paid millions of dollars by the U.S. government for large-scale social deception. That is literally what it says on the purchase order. They are a total scam. Just wow. Okay? And there's the purchase order for Reuters. Well, how did I open up? I told you. They no longer have part of the narrative. They were getting paid their portion, all of this media, to carry the narrative. They were part of it, to manipulate you. Now, back to the economy. We're going to get our fiscal house in order. Check. The tax cuts expire. Folks, trust me, around the world and in America, if the tax cuts expire, that will be an enormous tax increase. People are waiting to see that we make those permanent or extend them, whatever. But that has to happen to be part of our fiscal house in order. So 1, if we cut spending. 2, if we get our fiscal house in order. 3, if we cut this bureaucracy. I mean, thousands and thousands of people being fired, told go home, you're not coming back, right? Once all these things get checked off, and if the corporate tax rate goes from 21% to 15%, the investment in this country, and if the tariffs push our auto manufacturers back across the border from Mexico and especially Canada, and our steel manufacturers back across the border into this country, you will see. Now give me number 73. I wonder how much money Reuters is getting from the government. Let's find out. Okay? And where's the other one I wanted, Diane? I have one right here. I think this one's it. Give me number, I got to get out, 81. Elon Musk. Now, this is the richest man in the world. As it becomes clear that Doge is working, you will see the long-term Treasury bill yields fall, and all Americans will benefit from lower interest payments on mortgages, small business debt, credit cards, and other loans. We will have our house in order, and as soon as that is confirmed and solid, and we can keep firing these people and shutting down the waste and spending and not printing as much money and cutting that tax rate. So just relax. I know you don't like the gas price. Just relax. I know you don't like the egg price, but just relax. Now, Donald Trump can fire whoever he wants now. Number 2, this is going to be great. Look at the sourpusses. Now, yesterday, right? Yesterday, let's see. Trump's meeting with the Prime Minister of India, number 12. Number 12, they are angry. Number 12, look at this. He's meeting with the Prime Minister of India today. Nonstop. Trump's nonstop. Biden couldn't meet with one world leader a month. Trump met with the president or the Prime Minister of Italy. He met with the King of Jordan. He's going to meet in Egypt. He might fly over to Saudi and meet with Putin. Guy's nonstop. So the Department of Education, he's going to close this sucker. He's going to close it. I have it here. Give me this one here. This cracks me up. Give me number 31. They're going nuts. Now, Linda McMahon is going to be, her confirmation hearing is today. So here's 31. Democrats hold town hall for concerned citizens. How does Trump feel about the Department of Education? That's not the one right now. That video 8, CNN.
How soon do you want the Department of Education to be closed?
Oh, I'd like it to be closed immediately. Look, the Department of Education's a big con job. We're ranked, so they rank the top 40 countries in the world. We're ranked number 40th, but we're ranked number 1 in one department, cost per pupil.
Joining me now is...
It's a con job, total con job. No, I'm closing it down. Now, I understand there's already documents ready to shut it down. And he's firing people left and right already. They're freaking out. There's nowhere to steal the money. They don't have real people protesting. They don't have real people protesting. The moms and the dads that stood at these Board of Education meetings for years are not going to get in line and protest with them and say, oh my God, you're going to close down the Department of Education? That's terrible. It's not going to happen. So listen to these. Sick and tired. This is one of my favorites. Sick and tired of being sick and tired. Sick and tired of sick and tired. Let's see. Department of Education, Linda McMahon, video 3. Take it away.
Education Secretary Linda McMahon, the wrestling executive, her confirmation hearing is tomorrow. There's been reporting that the Trump administration's orders have already been drafted directing Linda McMahon as Education Secretary to start shutting down the department, to start the abolition of the Education Department as soon as she is sworn in. Because of that reporting, I think in part, people were out there today in advance of her confirmation hearing tomorrow saying, no way, we will defend the U.S. Department of Education in this country.
Oh, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I wish I was here under different circumstances. But I'm pissed off. Our public education in America is under attack. Not by budget cuts, not by policy debates, but by the people who want to tear it down.
I think that Elon Musk needed better math teachers because he says he's looking for savings by going after the $4 a day we send to make sure students have lunch every day instead of looking at the $8 million a day that go to Elon Musk in federal contracts.
What we're fighting against is Elon Musk, an unelected billionaire, and President Donald Trump, who we all know the scam that this is about, which is taking our corporate tax rate from 21% to 15%. And doing that on the backs of our children, on the backs of educators, on the backs of our public school system. And we're here to say hell no.
We are not going to let them to destroy the Department of Education. Department of Education provides funding for 26 million kids who are living in high poverty areas all over this country. And we have the radical idea that maybe poor kids deserve the same quality education that rich kids do.
So did he say you got to do Bernie Sanders, right? Did Bernie Sanders say it funds 26 million kids in high poverty areas, and kids in high poverty areas deserve a quality education also? Would these be the high poverty areas, Bernie, where these kids cannot read and write? Would that be where they're at, Bernie? These high poverty areas? Do you want to look at some of the data and statistics, Bernie, of these high poverty areas that you talk about, you speak of, right? It's a scam on the backs of our children. Feed our kids. Musk needed a better math teacher. Wow. So they are losing it. She is sick and tired of being sick and tired. Now, let me say this. I, for one, cannot wait for them to dismantle this. I can't wait. And I just can't wait for them to dismantle this. But to say, give me number 8. Elon Musk needed a better math teacher. I'm going to go back and make another. Mass firings are on the way. They say Elon has detractors? Give me video 15.
So people normally this quiet?
Your detractors, Mr. Musk.
I have to what?
Including a lot of Democrats.
I have detractors?
You do, sir.
I don't believe it.
Say that you're orchestrating a hostile takeover of government and doing it in a non-transparent way. What's your response to that criticism?
Well, first of all, you couldn't ask for a stronger mandate from the public. The public voted. We have a majority of the public voting for President Trump. We've won the House, we won the Senate. The people voted for major government reform. There should be no doubt about that. That was on the campaign. The president spoke about that at every rally. The people voted for major government reform, and that's what the people are going to get. They're going to get what they voted for. And a lot of times, people that don't get what they voted for, but in this presidency, they are going to get what they voted for. And that's what democracy is all about.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Elon Musk, I said this a while back, and, I paused on it a little bit because I, for one, am like you, trying to figure out what's up with Elon. Okay, so he's the world's richest man. Okay, you remember when Richard Branson, was that his name, right? You remember when he bought his own island? He bought his own island. Was that his name, right? And his wealth, Virgin Air, was that the name of it? And his phones and Virgin Records, right? Bought his own island. I remember that. So, and these people like Elon Musk, for richest man in the world, the first thing they want to do is their ego is to buy a sports team. They want to buy a basketball team, an NFL team, a baseball team. They go through life. Some of these people go through life, and their goal is to have an owner's box. And it's no joke. In one of these $1 billion, right, one of these $1 billion stadiums and arenas, the owner's box. But that's not who he is. So you try to figure him out. He's the richest man in the world, period. Okay. He is a genius. When he was, and I'm going to say this, okay? So I said this a long time ago, and I paused because there's so many things going on. I'm like, on one day, I'm like, what's he really up to? Is he sincere? Is he for real? What's in it for him? You know it, and I know it, all the questions that are spinning around. And I said a long time ago, Diane, I know you're going to remember this. A long time ago, I said, it's real simple. Elon Musk has a dad complex. You remember that? Long time. If you're new to the show, I said that months ago. He has a dad complex. People say, well, it can't be that simple. And I do agree that it's complex. What's going on here? But I'm going to tell you, I really think Elon Musk sees that guy as his hero. Like comic book hero. I'm not joking. I believe this guy sees Donald Trump as my hero. This is his hero in life. The guy that had the guts to stand up and go fight, fight, fight. This is his hero. This is a superhero. I'm not joking. You might think, because Elon's a little... Now, have you ever heard the story and watched the video where Elon Musk, his mom, his childhood? Have you ever? Right? As a child, he was beaten so bad by other boys, he was hospitalized for weeks. He wasn't just picked on. Now, he's from South Africa. He's a kid. He's a genius, right? But his mom was mandated to marry the dad. Long story, the mom didn't get a choice. She was forced to marry the dad. Elon's born, and the story, just to shorten it, the mom was abused, was beaten every day. Elon tells you his mother was beaten every day by the dad. the dad beat him. I mean, this is what they say. The mom, I've watched the interview with the mom, watched the interview with him. Now, at a certain age, he asked his mom to go live with his dad, and she got upset because why would you go do that? But the dad had money, and the dad had a library, and the dad had access to books. The mom didn't. She didn't have the financial wealth to do that. And it's like she said, Elon had read the Encyclopedia Britannica, every issue from front to back, like 2 or 3 times. Every issue. And he would read so much, that's the only reason he wanted to. But like, if you listen to Elon, Google it, and Elon will say how bad his dad abused them and beat on them. And he left home. And they asked him, say, well, you picked on as a kid. And he said, I don't think you would call it picked on. I was beaten so bad one time, he was hospitalized for 2 weeks as a child. So I'm not taking up for him, but when I say that, but look at everything all the way around. And I'm going to stay with this. Is there something else out there? I get it. But I seriously think, because watch how Elon is with his children, especially X, and how he is with Trump. Now, no matter what anybody says, they call him, they say he overshadows Trump. That's bullshit, folks. You will never see Elon Musk in the same room, the same area as Donald Trump, that he does not, the world's richest man, does not give the president of the United States the full and utmost respect. I've never seen Elon once that he looked at President Trump in any other way than President, my hero. I just haven't. So I didn't mean to get into that, but this is the way I see it. All right, so let's see. Do we have anything else before we come out? We got to get into the I think we're going to leave it there. Pam Bondi, let's go with 49. She is suing Letitia James and suing the governor of New York. All right, suing them. Right, give me number 70. Here's what I was looking at yesterday. I mean, I'm tired of it. So, hey, so X was picking his nose a little bit. Hey, don't we all get a little dry around the edges? Come on, a little kid was picking his nose. Doge is uncovering the government corruption America's media spent years ignoring. I'm going to disagree with that headline just a tad. They didn't spend years ignoring. They spent years running the narrative. All right, I'm going to take a break. When we come back, it'll be time for the Georgia Hour. The Georgia Hour when we return. Take a break, Diane.
Days Chevrolet Jasper is North Georgia's business elite commercial truck giant. Box trucks, landscape trucks, flatbed and heavy hauling trucks. When you've got a job to do, we've got the commercial truck for you. And get a federal tax credit up to 100% of the purchase price. Hundreds of commercial trucks are all right here at Days Chevrolet Jasper. Days Chevrolet. Days gets it done. Together, let's drive.
Larry's Body Shop in Ellijay. Family owned and operated since 1978. The latest in cutting-edge digital technology and state-of-the-art equipment allow our iCard Gold Class certified technicians to restore your vehicle. Our second-to-none customer service will work directly with your insurance company. Major accident or minor fender bender, we take the dents out of accidents. Larry's Body Shop, North Georgia's #1 body shop. Visit us at collisiondecision.com.
Why give your money to liberal media companies? Put your marketing needs in the hands of a conservative marketing professional and start getting results today. FYN Media Group, one of the top digital marketing agencies in Georgia, specializes in website design and hosting, social media promotion and management, and so much more. Visit FYNmediagroup.com or call 706-889-3564 for a free consultation.
Ladies, when you wear elegant jewelry, you become a force to be reckoned with. You shine brighter than the stars in the sky, and your inner beauty radiates like the sun. So embrace the magic, embrace the elegance, and let your jewelry be a reflection of your true, authentic self. My friends over at North Georgia Diamond know what a woman wants. Go see them for the perfect gift. And remember, when it comes to elegance, there's no such thing as too much. Come see us at North Georgia Diamond. We're igniting passion one sparkle at a time.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
This is a special report.
Knowing how to invest your money is harder than ever before. Dealing with stock market volatility, record debt, and terrorist attacks requires new thinking. At U.S. Asset Management, we can help you see the world more clearly so that you can move beyond the chaos and invest with confidence. Call us, visit us online, or drop by our office. U.S. Asset Management, helping you make better decisions with your money.
Mesquite Grill, now offering online ordering for your convenience. Check out our new website at mesquitegrillbr.com. That's mesquitegrillbr.com. The great food and service you have come to expect, ready for you when you arrive. Open 7 days a week with a fully stocked bar and friendly service. Bring your furry friends with you and dine on our pet-friendly patio. Also, check out our catering options and let us prepare delicious food for your next event.
Welcome to the Georgia Hour with BKP on voiceofruralamerica.com. I'm reading an article. Thank you for joining us. I'm reading an article, and this is where we try to spend an hour a day. We're getting closer. Today is it's only 10:09 in the morning, and we try to spend an hour a day on Georgia politics. I'm reading a story. I'm a farmer who was forced to kill 6.5 million hens. Here's the terrifying truth of America's egg shortage and who's really to blame. I wasn't able to get through the article during the break. It just popped up I'm going to read that in a minute. So we've been talking about that, and we know many are struggling with the price of eggs at the in your grocer's cooler. And how did we get here? So Diane, as we get started, as we get started this morning, and we look at Georgia. So on the Georgia Hour, what I've noticed is we do have people from sea to shining sea. We have people all around the world that are tuning in to the Georgia Hour because you're very interested in what's going on in Georgia. I had someone email me from or text me from Washington State and said, I never missed the show. I like keeping up with what's happening in Georgia. And that's great. We appreciate that. So I'm coming to you from Georgia, where it's easier to find a snipe than it is a true conservative Republican. Yes. In fact, we're thinking about taking people out into the farmer's field at night, giving them a pillowcase, and instead of having them go snipe hunting, just say, look, get out there and see if you can find a true conservative Republican in Georgia. If I was offered a pillowcase and A, go snipe hunting, or B, look for a true Republican conservative, I'd take my chances looking for a snipe. Anyhow, moving right along. Hi, Diane. Now, I am a Republican. I'm a Ronald Reagan Republican. Ronald Reagan Republican. I support Donald J. Trump, my president. This weekend, all right, the 19th, what is Saturday? Do you have your graphic? So I didn't make a mistake. We don't do that here, right? I'm not going to say this was a mistake, but I look at the camera and I say quite often, MAGA, Make America Great Again, starts at home. If you want to make America great again, start in your community, start in your county, start in your city, start at your Board of Education, start with your schools. And we use a nice word. And I'll be daggone. That's what Diane does. And how am I going to say? What am I going to say? Diane, you shouldn't do that. Really? You're the one looking at the camera and saying we have to. Now, I say that lighthearted. But Diane, I want to thank her for this because this is a big event Saturday. And I know she's working with other people and there's a team, but she's out there posting it on social media and putting it out there. And I hope we have that on our Facebook page. If not, let's get it on there. But February 15th at 9 a.m., all right, join the discussion, American Legion, 297 Legion Road, LJ, a citizens forum with Rhonda Thomas, Truth in Education. All right. Truth in Education is a Christian advocacy group called to raise awareness of the attack on parental rights in our public, private, and many Christian schools. Now, the reason it says public, private, and some Christian schools, if your school is receiving any funds from the government, they have to comply in certain ways. So anyhow, this is a great forum. Now, the reason I highlight this, and I'm not going to stay on this one very long, is this is what's happening still all around the country. Give me number 50. And although this is New York, I'm about to show you New York. Parent-teacher meeting erupts over LGBTQ naked pride book being given to kindergartners. And this took place in New York, upstate New York. I think it's upstate. And the book's titled The Rainbow Parade. All right. And parents were outraged. And it's Penfield Central School in New York. Somebody say, well, this is the Georgia Hour. And that's New York. Give me number 51. A school board meeting descended into chaos during an argument over an LGBTQ pride book. The book, titled The Rainbow Parade, illustrates a young child with her two moms attending a pride parade together, where they see men in bondage holding hands and near naked person walking the street alone. Look, Americans, I'm not going to stay on there. Look at this. This is in New York, 53. This is in Penfield Central School in New York. Look at the room. Look at the room. Now, again, well, this is Georgia. You're in Georgia. This is New York. This is America. This is the parents, okay? This is all over the country. All over the country, parents have had it with indoctrinating. Give me 54. Here is the book, The Rainbow Parade. I'll take that down. There you go, 54. I'll take it down. That's kindergarten book in New York. So go back to the graphic of your event Saturday. Folks, if you're anywhere near, if you're not, I have driven 2 hours for a Rhonda Thomas presentation. I have. I've driven 2 hours for one of her presentations. Truth in Education, February 15th, 9 a.m., the American Legion, 297 Legion Road, LJ. Please attend. All right, so take that down. This right here, I'm promoting this for a reason. Some of you might say, what are you doing here, BKP? Give me number 80. And I'll tell you why this is important to me. Animals are very healing. They are. They're very healing. And kids that have gone through traumatic experiences. Now, we look, this is not Democrat. This is not Republican. I promise you. This is not an agenda. Kids go through things in this country, unspeakable things. And this is called Healing Farm Foundation. And these animals, you can go there, you can check out healingfarmfoundation.org, right? And this is an event they have Saturday, March 8th from 11 to 4 at the Kiwanis Club in Blue Ridge. And it's called the Healing Farm Foundation event and the proceeds benefit the Healing Farm Foundation. We'll go to the website. I will show you what they do next week because this is March 8th. We're promoting that. Take it down. Animals, children. Have you ever seen children get around animals? How the animal, look, I'm not going to go there, but God put animals on this earth. And animals they are healing and calming. I got to get away from it. I really do. So anyhow, I'm supporting that. Now, in Georgia, Brad Raffensperger, okay? Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. And I showed you yesterday the Democrats' plan in Georgia. So we've not talked about this a lot because I was kindly waiting for Brad Raffensperger to make his presentation. So let me explain how this works in Georgia. Our fiscal year closes at the end of June. July 1st is the beginning of the fiscal year in Georgia. So in the state of Georgia, and I can't wait for some pushback or argument here, but I like to go in full detail. In the state of Georgia, we are not allowed to pass, constitutionally, my understanding, we're not allowed to pass a budget that exceeds, right, anticipated, big word, tax revenue for the year. So if the budget office that does the calculations comes out and says, 36 billion will come in next year. 36 billion. Now, do our lawmakers in Georgia write a budget for 32 billion? No. If 36 billion is what they anticipate, they spend it all. They're all in. They're playing their chips. Oh yeah, in the state of Georgia, Republicans, conservatives, hell, no way. All the chips. So just picture $36 billion in chips, and you push all of them to the center of the table. You don't hold any chips back. That is Georgia when it comes to our budget. We spend it all. And then we put out there, we say, let's see, how do we push this narrative? Oh, school security. There you go. Mental health. There you go. Increase support for law enforcement. There you go. I mean, there's 4 or 5 that you can roll out. It really sounds great. Really does. So in the state of Georgia, we can only put a budget together for anticipated tax. Now, what happens is when they go back into session, because some people get confused, and rightfully so, when we go back into legislative session in January, people start seeing this budget immediately get passed. Wait a minute. Why so quickly? Why so fast? Well, in your county, if you're in Georgia, at the end of the year, right, before you pass your next budget, you cannot, by the state of Georgia, the law, you cannot pass a new budget without reconciling the old budget. You have to reconcile the old budget. And you go into what many of you have gone to counties, and you go into a budget reconciliation meeting. So you can do this. So if you're short on the budget, you can move money from certain departments over to create the balance. You can do whatever, but you got to reconcile it. And it has to come clean with tax revenue that's in your county. And then, and only then, can you pass the next operating budget for the year. You with me? Now, move that to the state. As soon as the legislative session comes in, why, if they have anticipated more tax money, why not spend it? Because what they do immediately is a budget reconciliation. So they go over to the office. How much more money? Now, we had $36 billion last year anticipated. We put that in the budget. Is there any more that you? Yeah, there's going to be about $3 billion more on top of that. Let's spend it and do it now. Anyhow, what they do is they write a reconciliation budget. They push all the chips in. And you're going to hear that this reconciliation budget this year, the budget amendment process, that they had to spend this $1 billion for hurricane relief funding, this $1 billion for this, and this $1 billion had to be shifted from this account to this account so they could give it back to you. Now, listen to this. Don't you love in Georgia that they're going to shift $1 billion over out of the plus into, and this is how they have to do it, into the budget so they can disperse it and pat you on the head for $500 and pay you off. Every year in Georgia, we pay people off. I'm for sure if you get a check for $500 and you can go down the Red Lobster and then go out for a meal and then maybe, bet a little money on FanDuel. I don't know how it works. Right? Your tax money at work. They sent me $500. That's what they do. It's always upset me that they send you $500. Here, let me pat you on the head. Right? They gloss over. There was a legislator the other day, Diane, that wrote this amazing, here's what we've been doing and here's how we spent your money on this budget reconciliation, the amended budget. And we did this and we did this and we did this and we got so much more for school security, and it was amazing. It just sounded amazing. Now you look it up. Just correct me. I'll be okay. Or make a correction. Don't correct me. That would imply I'm incorrect. So there you go. Look it up. See if in those glowing newsletters they're sending you back home of how effective they are for you at home and your tax money and why they're spending more of it every day. See if they forget, is it $650 million? Is it $650 million for the water system in the Savannah, Effington, in that area there where, let's see, what could cause them to have to put, is it $650 million in the budget? Now, they don't have the money and they feel it's wasted if we scrap Dominion voting machines, right? Now, hear me out. Oh, I knew you were going there. I knew sooner or later you'd get around to a voting machine. No, wait a minute. I've had lawmakers say to me, what do you want to do? Just throw these machines away? You want to just throw away $140 million? What do you want to do? So every time Tom Homan says, when the media sits Tom Homan down, and I know what you're going to think, like, wait a minute, that's not the same subject. But every time the media sits Tom Homan down, it says, what's it going to cost? What's it going to cost? And Tom Homan looks back on deportations. What's it going to cost? And he looks back at this smug reporter and says, what is the value of our security in this country, right? He goes back and says, what's the value? What's the value of life? What's the value of our security? What's the value in this country, right? So every time I hear, what's it going to cost? And do you want to throw 140 million or whatever of voting machines away? What's the value, true value of securing our elections? Because even on the Super Bowl interview with President Trump looked at Brett Baer and said, what'd he say? Let's see, right? Let's see if Fox will let you air this. You remember that? Let's see if Fox will let you air this. Air what? The election was rigged. You know it. So what is the price of securing our elections? Now, where I'm going with this, look it up. Was it $650 million for the water system in the general area so we could operate what? Hyundai, Hondu, whatever they are down there, right? The plant, the amount of water, they don't have the water. So we shift the water to them, and so the local areas have to have water. We gave them, you look it up, I don't know. Is it $1 billion in tax abatements? We just gave it away. Oh, they're giving you 500. 500. So I was thinking this, and this might sound silly. Recently, my well went out, my well pump. I had to call somebody out. It was 12 degrees. I think he charged an extra $500 because it was only 12 degrees. That's a joke. That's a joke. Great, guys. But I was like $2,500. I had to get my water replaced and fixed. I get it. That's me. But then I think, why am I participating in getting Hyundai their water? Why? And why am I giving them a tax abatement for $1 billion? Oh, you don't want industry here. You don't want Georgia to grow. Look, Georgia has grown right into being Democrats. Yeah, you can say whatever you want. Georgia has grown right into being Democrats. That's why we're not the red state they want to lead you to believe. Period. So that happened. Now, so you have your midday. You have your budget reconciliation, and you cannot do your state budget for 2025 until that's complete. So you complete that. Now you start working on the 2025, and that will come down to the 2025-2026 will go in effect for next year. So with all that being said, and that was all that, here's the point I'm about to make. So on your 25-26 budget in Georgia, everybody gets to come forward and present their budget, explain why they need it. Do they need more employees? Do they need more of this? They need more copy paper. They need a new attorney. It doesn't matter. They get to come forward and present their budget. And what they do is they come forward before a committee, right? And once that's done, committee takes it into consideration and they start shoving everything together and they create the budget by the end of the session. Now, the committee is supposed to be a full committee that's supposed to listen to the constitutional officers and department heads around the state. So, Department of Labor, Secretary of State, Ag Commissioner, they come in, they make a presentation to the committee. All right? Elections, Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger. Now, we've got a serious problem in Georgia. I, for one, believe we need to remove the machines and go to paper ballots, hand counted at the precincts. There's some more details in that. And I don't want to get rid of the machines just because they're Dominion voting machines. I don't want to get rid of the machines just because they have Chinese chips in there. And I don't want to, that's not my reason. I don't want to get rid of the machines just because of the algorithm and the reconciliation tapes, the tabulator tapes, all of that. I don't want to get rid of the machines just because of the encryption key. That's not my reason totally. All that's over here, good reason. My particular reason is AI, machinery, things are going to move so fast. They're going to move so fast. Technology is going to move so fast. All right. Now, I was watching something the other day. Remember when all of the manufacturers, you could pop the cover off and take a battery out, you at home. You have to have 7 degrees and go through 38 hours of classes to know how to disassemble any of these now. But you remember when you at home could pop the battery out, right? Buy a new battery, whatever. See, when you pop the battery out, that was a total disconnect. The power source. You turn this off and it's still not off. Now, I won't go down that road, but I just have a concern that technology is moving so fast that I think we need to unplug, no pun intended with voter GA, but we need to unplug our elections. And it's the one thing that we need to now give control back to the people 100% and do it the old-fashioned way, a piece of paper, and count it. And do not let technology. They are wanting to test people. They are wanting to test vote online. So, that being said, to prepare the budget, Brad Raffensperger went before the committee yesterday with the Secretary of State's budget. I don't know how much of this we're going to play, but Diane, here you go. Can you play this until I give you the high sign to come back?
Good afternoon, Chairman.
Good afternoon, Secretary. How are you doing?
Members of the committee. Are we ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The first thing is an IT request, and this item's not in your packet, but it's actually the most important of my request. We need to cover the cost of replacing end-of-life IT server hardware and networking equipment. This was a necessary cost that already had to be spent as the support of the hardware was out of life. This is data center infrastructure, all of which had hardware that needed to be replaced. The servers are duplicated in the event of an emergency. They house all of our internal data as well as the corporation system and all licensing information on the old system. We could not afford to lose any of this data when the support expired, and as a result, we had to replace the hardware before getting funding. We also had to replace the IT networking equipment as it was also reaching end of life. It is vital to the security of the agency, but it is most critical to the security of the election system. The total cost for the two systems, these two necessary items, is $1,350,000. My next two requests are not in the regular packet either, but are included in the capital project fund. On page 2, line 371.18, you will see an item that reads, increased funds for one-time funding for complete replacement of the uninterruptible power supplies, the UPSs, for the voting machines statewide. This is the second half of the funding needed to complete the project. These UPSs are required by federal law to ensure that voting can continue in the event of a power outage. Our old UPSs were reaching end of life, and we had multiple UPSs disintegrate in county election storage. Luckily, nobody was harmed, but we want to completely get rid of the old UPSs before anything bad can happen. We are requesting you maintain the level of funding that was recommended by the governor and the House at $4,015,213. The final item I wanted to discuss today is SB 189 compliance. On page 2, line 371.17 of the capital projects packet, you will see a line that reads, increase funds for one-time funding for ballot scanners and printers to remove quick response code from the ballots in accordance with SB 189. Before I get to this request, I want to highlight the work of the Elections Division and the counties throughout the entire state of Georgia. Georgia ran an exceptionally successful election. On election night, Jonathan Turley said on Fox News that Georgia and Florida run the best elections in America. We had average wait times under 2 minutes on election day. And then the University of Georgia poll presented to you at Biennial said that 91% of voters had confidence in the election, and 94% of Republicans had confidence. 2 years ago, we conducted the first ever full citizenship audit of the voter rolls in America. And I conducted another citizenship audit before the November election. As an aside, just to keep you up to date, but I wrote a letter to incoming and new DHS Secretary Kristi Noem and really requested we could have her agency actually facilitate us getting the saved database information. Unfortunately, under the previous administration, the first audit took us nearly a year just due to the roadblocks that they put in. We think with the new administration that this should be streamlined, and we look forward to working with her. I have entered into agreements also with other states in a multi-state organization and then also bilaterals to ensure that nobody is voting more than once. We have also a very strong partnership with the Department of Driver Services. And because we have a partnership with them, they are in a compact with 40 other states, so that if you ever leave Georgia and get a driver's license in these other states, they are notified here in Georgia, who then notify us, so we can make sure we can maintain our voter list and keep them the cleanest in the nation. In addition, with the funding that you provided, we built out in record time the first of its kind, a 100% audit of the human readable text of every race, every contest on the ballot, confirming the outcome of each race from President Trump's outstanding and resounding victory down to the county coroner and everything in between. And you know what it found? It found that machines count better than people. Because out of those who still might be in doubt, anyone in the world now can go online and look at every single ballot image that we have of all 5.1 million ballots for free. And they can look at that online. So I want to thank you, the members of this committee and the General Assembly, for the support of that effort and for our office. Without your support, this election would not have had such a resounding success. Our current election system, to give you some background, our current election system is actually in the 7th year of a 10-year contract. We will start to put the contract out for bidding in 2028. SB 189 is asking us to make several expensive changes to the system for the last 2 years of the contract. Keeping in mind taxpayer dollars and the other needs that we have, especially in light of Hurricane Helene, which devastated 2 of the senators here in your counties and the surrounding counties, I ask you to consider perhaps alternative solutions ensuring continued trust of the voters, which we think is very key, and the accuracy of the elections, but also fiscal responsibility. We can continue to do an audit of the human readable text for every statewide election because we have built out the system. It now really becomes a manpower issue to be able to do that. And that would be at a relatively nominal cost for every election every 2 years. The full cost of updating the software, purchasing, and delivering the hardware to meet the requirements SB 189 and the resultant acceptance testing would be about $66 million. That number is a conservative estimate based on full list price, and we would be hoping to negotiate that down. But I would request that the General Assembly consider alternative options for this costly approach. One option is to do nothing and wait until the contract is completed, so we can redirect the money to purchasing the best system on the market that's available in the future. Election systems are getting better every year. There's a lot of money that's been invested in new technology, and we could eventually move to a system that will be purchased through a hard bid and will utilize the latest technology. Another alternative is to update the machines to the newest version of the software. This would reduce the cost to under $15 million, which is primarily the cost of staffing. The governor's budget had $47 million in that. If you went with a $15 million route, that would be $32 million that you then could actually redirect those funds to help the areas that were hit by Hurricane Helene. I believe it was the Monday after Hurricane Helene hit. I was in Augusta, Georgia with the governor and Senator Anderson and others. And then I traveled with the governor for 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, and we saw the devastation. And anyone that's traveled through the state of Georgia, we understand the pain points that these two senators here on the committee go through. And that would be one option for you to consider. If we did this option, it would ensure that we keep the machines up to date, address any potential vulnerabilities, and the software would be provided free from the vendor. Really the cost is our cost to really implement it and get it up and running and get it out to all 159 counties. This change would help ensure continued voter confidence without drastically changing the voting system or spending money on hardware that could be entirely replaced in 2 years. With that, Chairman, I open myself up to questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? I've got a few on the, as far as the implementation, where you're talking about the waiting till the contract's up and then the cost would come down from the 47 million to 15. Was I hearing you right on
yes,
that?
What we're saying is that that there have been some reports that say if we could do, update the software, that any potential vulnerabilities could be then, sealed. Then we understand cybersecurity and other, situations like that. There is a concern from some areas. So that would be a way of, managing us through till we put this out to bid for a new system. Because the 10-year period would be up and there will be new technology available. More and more companies are coming up with full human readable text. So there'll be many vendors that could offer this technology.
When would that 10-year contract be up?
In 3 years. It really would just require on SB 189 to push the date out then, and then that could then be handled at that time.
Okay, and if we went the route that's been proposed, as far as like understanding like the deadline when this work needs to be completed?
Well, and that's also we handed into your packet there, really a worksheet, and shows you when you could actually do that, because it would actually touch every single piece of equipment in the entire state. As soon as you're in an active election, we cannot touch the equipment. We have a lot of elections here in Georgia. You may have noticed that. And so you have this window here, that window there. And so really finding the windows to get this done. And so that's the biggest challenge. It's a logistical issue, but we'll work through it. We just know that that's what it would look like.
Okay, thank you. And then as far as the project that was presented, as far as the way the planning was done, why were there I guess the need for different types of printers that were identified?
When you go with if we go to eliminating the QR code, and then you would have really a full-face ballot. In effect, it's a 2-page ballot. Now, we obviously would want to print those the ballot would be larger, a lot larger piece of paper, and we would want to print on both sides. You wouldn't want 2 separate pieces. That would be not good for voter confidence. And so but that issue there, and so you really need new printers to be able to do that.
And then are you concerned as far as the estimated 40% markup cost on the unit cost for the printers?
Well, obviously that's list price, and we want to work that down. Right now, with what we have, we see that right now it would be at $66 million. The governor has put in $47 million, and it would be, we would hopefully be able to work it down from 66. I don't know if we get it to that number, but we could always come back to the full year budget and look at what that needs to be. We haven't put that out for hard bids because it's not been funded yet. And once it's funded, then we would put it out for hard bids, and we'd have a hard number to report back to you with.
Okay. And then also I saw, in there about the, outsourcing some of the work and all, just not possible for your team to complete all of that? I'm just assuming.
Yeah. If you look at how many people we have in our elections division, for comparison purposes, we have about 30 people in the elections office. North Carolina, the same population, has 72. South Carolina, who has half the population and does half the work, because we have a unified system. All 159 counties, we have one system, and then we also provide the equipment, and we build ballots for them. They don't do that in these other states, but South Carolina has 69 people with half the population. So we just have a tremendous team. So going back to what Jonathan Turley from Fox News said, when he said we were up there with Florida, you have to understand, we have a great team in the elections division. And you should really be proud. And again, I'm just really grateful. Going back to SB 189, you ought to take your victory lap for what you did last year. You really help instill voter confidence. When you put into SB 189 that all that early voting, all the early voting and the absentee ballot had to be reported 1 hour after polls closed. Many of the counts got that up on time. Some didn't. But so many of the people did, and it was their first time ever doing that. Florida does 7:30, but they're connected to the internet. We are not connected to the internet, so we did 8 p.m. But for the first time out, they did a great job. But here's the other difference. We do 77% of our voting early. Florida does about half of that. So when we got up our numbers, we still were so far ahead of them in total vote totals because of so much early voting we had. We had about 18% of people actually vote on election day. And then you also had some other good things you put in there about the pilot program that we just talked about with the human readable text. We answered the question that the QR code, the machines are accurate. We had 0 errors of the ballots that were done that way, about 4.8 million. The only errors we had were in the hand-marked paper ballots used for the absentee ballot process.
And then as far as on this third revision of the project estimate, why are scanners included in that? Is that something y'all found out?
Yeah, they just needed additional scanners also.
Okay. And then as far as like the scanners and printers, why is Dominion involved?
Because that's the system that has the contract.
Okay.
And so
the
for 3 more years. And so that's why we get the software for free, but then when you start changing hardware, but it comes through them. And that's why I think that maybe perhaps the best answer would be do the update, the $15 million update. The difference, the balance, then we could redirect that, and I'm sure that you have many requests, and put that to good use, and then we rebid that in 3 years. So we know we have, and we still have we still have the pilot program that we did. We can use that again, and probably in the order of perhaps $1 million, you could run that whole audit every election cycle, and so that's something we could prepare for. I could work up a budget for you on that. But we just think that may be the best way of going, that we still continue the enhanced voting audit of every single race to verify accuracy. We have strong voter confidence. Right now it's over 94% of all Republicans, 91% of all Georgians. We think we're in a good position.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, that would be great as far as the budget.
Okay.
We'd like to see
we'll
that.
do that for you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And then switching to the capital projects, the $4 million.
Yes.
It's my understanding that UPS has already been replaced in South Georgia.
Yeah, we've replaced about half of them.
Okay.
This is the other half.
Okay. And will this project, will it cover the UPS replacement up in North Georgia?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then again, timeline. I don't know. I know you got to deal with multiple elections.
They'll be ready for the next election.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Good deal. And then, as far as one last question that I had, did your office, did they sign off on the invoice from the state election board for the auditing technology?
That was all signed off by the chairman, because they're an attached agency by law, by statute. The Secretary of State's office would sign off on that, but we pulled in and has been full part of it was the chairman of the state election board, John Fevier, was involved in that process, and he would approve it, and then we would sign off, and then we'd make the payment. I have our financial officer here, Matt. He can talk to the details and answer any question you might have.
Yeah, just wondering how much it cost.
We get back to you with that.
Oh,
please.
On the enhanced voting, we brought it in under $3 million, and I think it was about 4 or 5. But we always try to be very mindful of taxpayer dollars, obviously.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
I don't think I have any other questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah.
Take care.
Okay, Diane, are you ready? What's the name of that committee? What is the name of that committee we were watching that he was making his presentation to? Is that the government
appropriations committee? The subcommittee's name is government operations.
Okay, so can you put the what we see? Can you put the members of that committee up on the screen of what we found when you looked up that committee? So Clint Dixon is the chairman of the subcommittee, and that's who we were watching, folks. All right? That's who we were watching, Clint Dixon, the chairman of the subcommittee. We're watching him. We're watching Brad Raffensperger, Secretary of State of Georgia. I didn't see Jason Avatari, whatever his name is. I didn't see Lee Anderson. I didn't see Tanya Anderson. I didn't see Gail Davenport. I didn't see Russ Goodman or Sonia Halpern. Did you see any of them, Diane? Because I'm just checking my eyesight. I haven't been. Did you see anybody beside Clint Dixon?
No, here you go.
Okay. So I'm not going to ask Diane to validate this. So if I said that I just got the feeling they didn't give a shit, sorry, right? If I just said I got the feeling they didn't care, right? Now, let me wrap this up. We'll break it down tomorrow. I'm going to wrap this up. Ready? SB 189, getting rid of the QR codes. Let me tell you what you just heard, okay? Ooh, wrong page. Where's my page? I had it here somewhere. Okay, here, let me go with this. So $4 million for battery backups. But you remember SB 189, right? Now, I just want to say this very candidly, very strong. Josh McCoon, Brad Carver, Sally Grubbs, okay? When these people come out and tell you they're working on elections and they're trying to make it sound like they are in there and they're fighting for you, bullshit. Got it? Period. Now, last year we fought, I was in there, 189. We fought to end QR codes. Remember, we were going to get rid of the QR code. We even showed them it was unconstitutional. We showed them it's against the law. Right? Now, Brad Raffensperger just said SB 189. We need to scrap that whole QR code thing. You know, if we buy scanners, do you realize we only got a couple years left on this contract? Did you hear this? We got a couple years left on this contract. I mean, we're in year 7 of 10. In 2008, we're going to be rebidding new machines, right? Why would we take the last 2 years of this contract and make all of these costly changes? Did you hear that? Why would we make all these? Do you realize what we could do? Okay. What we could do is we could reduce that down to 15 million, save 32 million, and that 32 million could go to hurricane relief funds. I was with the governor that day in the Savannah area, right? We could save 32 million. We only got 2 years left. SB 189. So the guy just said before one person. Now, let me tell you how committees work. And I'm going to get I'm going to get in trouble. Let me tell you how committees work. All right. These committees are set up to make recommendations based on the presented budget by the constitutional office to the full Senate. There's no one there. No one is there. Right? Clint Dixon. Can we implement these changes? Well, we are always in an election cycle somewhere. Remember that. Always in an election cycle somewhere. And the only areas, Diane, did you hear this? The only areas we found error are the hand-marked paper ballots. Machines are much more accurate. Even Jonathan Turley said it. All right, folks, let me just level with you, okay? This is leveling with you. I'm not a storm chaser, okay? I'm not a grifter. I'm not. They want you to believe that this last election with Donald J. Trump, where he won by 2 points and he should have won by 6.8, that this is the most amazing, secure, greatest election ever in our lifetime, according to Secretary of State's office. There you go. I told you that. Not the damn storm chasers that are on there yelling this and yelling this and yelling this and the bullshit and the bullshit and the bullshit. Right? The night Donald J. Trump won presidency of the United States of America, I said that night, oh, hallelujah, thank God. Oh, shit, what's coming tomorrow? Raffensperger and them bragging the greatest election of all time. I shouldn't have said thank God, no shit in the same sentence, but I did. I knew it. I knew it was coming. I knew this. I said to friends, I called them, I said, we got a problem. Why? Trump won. We got a problem, man. Who cares? He's the chairman. He has to be there. He's the chairman, Clint Dixon. Right? No one else. Now, let me tell you how the committee works, and I got to get out. Here's how a committee works. Ready? Anyone could come sit in. Well, these are the people on the committee. It's not my legislator's fault, or, it's anyone could come and sit in a committee hearing at any given time. Your senator could go sit in the back of the room at a committee hearing and listen. It's not unusual. SB 189, QR codes. He doesn't want to implement them. Why would you do that? Why would you take the QR code off when we just had an amazing election of accuracy? Why? We only got 2 years on the contract. Do you realize what we're doing for just a 2-year contract? And there's so much great new. This is why you got to listen to me. Listen to me. There's so much great new technology out there. Yes, and it scares the hell out of me. I don't care what you think. I don't want the new technology in my voting. I'll take the new technology in my phone. I'll take the new technology in this computer. But when I go to vote, I don't want any of the new technology. I want to go old school, Jack. Old school. Because I want it to always belong to the people, not the new technology. Yeah, internet voting, whatever. Do you get it? Do you get it when Josh McCoon come out with his election stuff that he says we're working on now? It's not going anywhere. You want people to believe after listening to that over in another hallway, there's a new election law that's going around? Don't fall for that crap. There's no new election law over on this hallway. You can't even get SB 189 funded properly to take the QR code off. Who in the hell believes anything Josh McCoon? People say, oh, you don't like Josh McCoon? No, I don't like lying. He's a liar. It's my opinion. He's an attorney, too. God knows when he's going to sue my ass because he likes to threaten people. He sent out this, oh, my God, this is what we're doing on elections. And let's build on the win. You can't trust these people. All right, I got to go. I'm running late. It's 11:06. Did I leave anything out, Diane? Is there something you want to say? Is there something I shouldn't have said? Don't get worked up. I can feel it. We probably should move. I get so damn tired. I get so damn tired of this stuff. Lawmakers pretending, and then they go, oh, we're going to stop boys from diving in the pool with girls. I'll see you tomorrow morning. I'm in a great mood. I got things to do this afternoon. Diane, take it out of here. Take it away out of. Hey, Diane, you know what? I don't know what your list is, and you don't have to. Don't never. But hold on to those 2 videos of Matt Taibbi. I want to talk about those tomorrow. I'll send them back over. You have a great afternoon. Take a break.
Hello. So we're going to start out with a couple of quick things and then go into Tucker's latest interview with Ken Paxton. Ken is the Attorney General in Texas and has been the main state Attorney General that pushed back against the Biden administration, so he's well informed and has some great information to share. So this came across that I saw this morning, and someone actually alerted me of it as well. So the Dems put a blind man in charge of the project of government oversight. Of course, he didn't see the spending abuse and corruption. This is ridiculous. You can't make this stuff up. So this is the guy that was supposed to to see where all the spending and the corruption was going, and yet he's blind. So that's who's been overseeing the government spending. under the Biden administration. And then we have the wife of the judge blocking Trump's administration is a USAID grant recipient. So he's not getting his funding anymore. And of course we saw Pritzker has 64 NGOs, so all these Democrats are deeply embedded in USAID grant money, and that's where they're making their millions. This is Mike Davis. He's I can't remember what organization he has, but he's very, very well versed in a lot of the corruption, and he's been fighting back as well. But so Trump's lawyer, Mike Davis, predicted exactly what would happen to Letitia James, the dirty lawfare actors, 2 months ago on the Benny Johnson's show. So let's listen to what Mike Davis has to say. Let me get this in your screen.
Let me just say this to Big Tish James, the New York Attorney General. I dare you to try to continue your lawfare against President Trump in his second term, because listen here, sweetheart, we're not messing around this time, and we will put your fat ass in prison for conspiracy against rights. And I promise you that. So think long and hard before you want to violate President Trump's constitutional rights or any other American's constitutional rights. It's not going to happen again.
We've been warning people on the show, Mike. This isn't the same Trump administration. Stop messing around. Don't rig elections. Don't illegally vote. Don't try the funny business, because we know the team this time and they are not effing around.
Let me just.
Okay, so they're going after Letitia James. Pam Bondi, we heard this morning, she's got a lawsuit started. And then here is Trump saying that he's going to name names. Now this was posted yesterday, so sometime today he's going to name names, or some names at least. So let's listen to Trump.
That you can have that kind of fraud. You're talking about are you talking about what? Wait. Which are you talking? You're talking about with regard to all of the investigations that are going on about this stupidity. What we're going to do is tomorrow I'm having a news conference. I'm going to read to you some of the names that hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars have been given to. And if you tell me that we should be giving money to those things, those entities, I think you'll probably have to leave as a reporter because you're not very talented. When you look at the kind of money, billions and billions of dollars being thrown away illegally, and there's no chance. I mean, I say it in front of our Attorney General, there's no chance that there's not kickbacks or something going on. When you give millions and millions of dollars to somebody that stands to look at something for 15 minutes and walks away with millions of dollars, that money's coming back in some form. And that's only one form of corruption. The biggest thing is what they do to our country. They're taking massive amounts of money and spending it on items. I went through a list of 200 expenditures that were made, and I found 3 that looked like they were reasonable. Okay, 3. And we'll be talking about that tomorrow. We have a lot of stuff. And I want to commend Elon because he's done he doesn't need this. You know, he's abused by you people every day. He's found more things than anybody could find. I think he's got the credibility to do it. I know he does. And it's his group of people. You know, they started off with 12. I call them 12 geniuses. They started off with 12 and they went to 20 and 25, and now they're up to almost 100. People are joining to help them because there's a massive fraud that's taken place.
And so I look forward to seeing what Trump releases, although I think we've gotten a lot of the information, but maybe he's going to actually lead it back to the politicians that are pocketing it, which we haven't really gotten full confirmation on that. So I look forward to that information. So we've had here recently, I've had Mike Ben's clips on the show, but this is him explaining the whole racket with Samantha Powers and all that. So let me rewind this just a little bit just to get it, and let's take a listen to Mike Ben's. And there may be some foul language on this. Let me put that warning up just in case.
Of this, USAID is doing that, and it was administered for the whole of the Biden administration by Samantha Power. Samantha Power's husband, and I don't normally feel it's appropriate to mention family members, but they are both political and in the Biden administration's government, doing a 1-2 punch on this issue. So, this is not about the personal. This is just because these two things are connected. Cass Sunstein was a very infamous figure in conservative world for a long time because he was the author, I believe in 2007, 2008, of a famous white paper called Conspiracy Theories, which made the argument that the U.S. federal government needs to infiltrate the online space and infiltrate the cognitive intelligentsia of alternative movements. At the time, he was concerned about things like 9/11 conspiracy theories on YouTube, undermining the diplomatic posture and standing of the United States and our military posture. If these theories gain steam, it would massively degrade the ability to wage war in Afghanistan and Iraq and build an international coalition. And so he made the argument, and I'm not weighing in on this, by the way, substantively, but this is simply what he said, and everyone can look this up. This is Samantha Power's husband, who then joined Samantha Power on the other end of this. Actually, maybe I'll start with that side of the story. He moved over while Samantha Power was head of USAID, running this program, spending $1.5 billion to fund illegal immigrants to make their way from foreign countries into our country illegally. DHS is responsible for managing that and stopping that and catching them. Cass Sunstein moved over to DHS in order to help run the immigration policy, where he was basically a senior advisor on immigration policy around the open border that left the whole thing open. So you have the 1-2 punch. Samantha Power is funding the machine so that they all get here. And, her husband is at DHS, creating and popularizing and implementing the policies that make sure there's catch and release and the whole thing's open and we can't do anything to stop them once they get here. So, interagency approval, you might say, but it's all in-house right there. But the other part of this gets back to the role of USAID in psychological operations and why USAID needs to lie about what it does abroad and why it needs to lie about what it does to our own oversight organs and the people, the U.S. citizens who vote for it. So Sunstein writes this, conspiracy theories thing, and he argues, whether you agree with it or not, a lot of people would never even think about that, when they're considering the merits of such a thing, that these things, if they gain steam, have massive diplomatic implications. You're going to convince France to, contribute to the war effort. You're going to convince Germany and the UK, or, while they see things on YouTube that make their own parliamentarians or prime minister, question the predicate for it. You can understand the national security impulse to want to do this work. I'm not saying that's the thing to do, by the way, believe me, but. So it was called Conspiracy Theories, this initial paper, and it made the argument that the U.S. federal government needs to develop a new capacity to infiltrate these movements and develop methods to either neutralize them or reroute their cognitive thought leadership in order to avoid the outcome that results in free and unfettered alternative media popularizing ideas that could undermine the workings of the State Department or the U.S. military. Then quickly thereafter, he writes a book called Nudge. Nudge is basically the holy Bible for the censorship industry, and it's basically required reading for anyone who wants to have a career in countering disinformation or disinformation studies, if you will, or information integrity or digital resilience or media literacy. This is the sort of, it lays out the gospel. And it's called Nudge because it's a book about how to get people to do things without top-down coercion, the appearance of autocratic coercive control, but getting them to do it anyway. How do you, instead of shove people to do it, because that's what Russia and China do, nudge them. Find a way to get them to do it without your fingerprints being on it, without it drawing the same critiques that would have if the Russian or Chinese government decide to do this. And what it's about, it's about creating this kind of whole of society surround sound. The State Department wants to do it, DOD wants to do it, CIA wants to do it, USAID wants to do it. Okay? We don't need to make it formal government policy. We don't need to throw people in jail if they do it. We need to create, and Nudge itself was primarily about the behavioral role of this, but also the behavioral psychology behind this, but also about the role of institutions in making this happen. But what you do is instead of doing top down, you astroturf a bottom up, and you create a middle out and a whole society. You want people to feel like their lives will be over if they challenge it, but you can't criminalize it. We have a First Amendment. Well, what if you raise the costs of that behavior? It's incentives, it's carrots and sticks. How do we heighten the cost of doing that? What assets do we need in civil society in order to achieve this? Well, if they're deplatformed, they can't access their wedding photos and baby photos because they're kicked off Facebook, or they see a friend of theirs was and can no longer DM with grandma because they posted about, hey, these vaccines may have come from the Wuhan lab, or these vaccines may have been funded by, the U.S. government, or they might not work, or we shouldn't go through with a mandate. We don't want to throw people in jail for that yet, maybe. Because a lot of these same folks have now started to talk about, well, maybe the fundamental problem is the First Amendment itself, and that's why they are all working with the EU and the UK and foreign governments like Brazil to make this happen. But okay, so get the social media companies to demonetize them, deplatform them, do algorithmic suspension. Okay, that's one thing we can do. What's another thing we can do? Well, we can do defamations and lawsuit. We can use lawfare, and we can make high-profile cases of this. And there were, examples of this in documents of the affirmative planning of finding a sympathetic plaintiff to make an example out of these media companies to do this. And these were published before things like Dominion and some of these other lawsuits and around these cases. How can you create vocational penalties for doing this? So, for example, you don't need to arrest them, but have Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York, implement policies that he goes on live television and proudly says, no jab, no job. It's going to, you can't earn a living if you believe these things or spread information around that. Tony Fauci himself, and the eternal shame of it is it took 4 years after COVID, 3 years after COVID for these emails to come out, said that one of the best ways to actually get people to go through to get citizen buy-in for the vaccine rollout and stop these vaccine conspiracy theories is to raise the cost of people saying them, and that you need to make it hurt. And that will, he said that in so many words, and everyone can look up this receipt. I have, I've reposted this 20 times on my X account. It's been played on Fox News. I believe there's an audio file with it as well. But that was not, the criminal justice system. This was not the Attorney General of the United States, but it was the key administrator of the entire public health system during the COVID response, saying the fundamental guiding tenet of it is make it hurt. Make it hurt. Change the incentive so that if people question what we're doing, it costs them their livelihoods. It costs them their social media accounts. It costs them their standing. It costs them their medical licenses. Make it worse than prison. Because at least you spend a year in prison, you come out, you still got your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, you still got your business license. You can serve your time and come back to society. When you lose all these things, you often lose them forever, at least until Elon, acquired X and sought that, set that free.
Mm-hmm. And Samantha Powers' net worth increased from 21 to 24 from an estimated 6.7 million to 16.5 million to around 30 million.
The ex-chief of the USAID, Samantha Power, reportedly experienced a spike in her net worth during the time she served as the chief of USAID, the organization that oversees hundreds of billions of dollars in global funding, and is now under intense scrutiny from DOGE audits being conducted by Elon Musk and his team. According to Inside Biden's Basement and financial records, Power made $180,000 a year as Joe Biden's appointee. In those 3 years, her wealth jumped from $6.7 million to a whopping $30 million, leaving many on social media questioning how her net worth made such a significant jump in such a short amount of time. DOGE has uncovered what Musk calls fraudulent spending by the USAID, with President Donald Trump asserting that lawmakers choosing to send tens of billions of dollars to foreign countries for things like transgender programs or Sesame Street in Iraq are actually getting kickbacks at the expense of American taxpayers. Investigators across the U.S. have made a handful of arrests in recent weeks connected to heists involving some of the biggest names in sports. Authorities say groups of thieves linked to South American gangs have been stealing jewelry and cash from luxury homes. They've been targeting the likes of the NFL's Patrick Mahomes just this past week. Federal authorities charged a group of Chilean men with stealing nearly $300,000 worth of items from Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow.
In Dallas, Christina Wild, Salem News Channel.
How did that happen? Well, I haven't seen the source documents. I've seen this be reported. I haven't, double, triple, checked that. I've seen that as headlines, and so I'm not affirmatively, weighing into that until I, see the source of those numbers myself. But so I don't know her particular case, but what frequently happens in other high level scenarios like this is you have stakeholders who, now, first of all, so there's a few things, right? There's always the potential. So let me remove it from the Samantha Power thing, because I just want to be respectful and note that I just don't know that for a fact. But let's just call this Cynthia P word. Cynthia P words. We'll call it Cynthia instead of Samantha. Okay. Random example, not her. There are many ways that this kind of radical jump in wealth can be acquired. Now, first of all, I also don't know if that's a cumulative household income that includes the net worth of her husband. This is also a frequent thing. I know in reporting disclosures, oftentimes you don't need to just report your own income. You need to report the combined income of family members, and so that, because that's often how money is laundered, right? You saw this with the Biden family, for example. And, when you apply for a security clearance, they need to know if you're holding your assets, you declare this much income, but actually the house is owned in the name of your wife. And so it looks like, you have a $5 million home, but it's your home, you live in it. Any moment you could change the deed, back to your thing. So oftentimes there are equity interests or large asset interests that are combined. So again, I don't know in this case, but there are a few things. First of all, you have insider knowledge in these cases. So talking generally about this, because this is, the famous Nancy Pelosi tracker about how she does this. And I talk about this frequently. This is why there is a pipeline from blob to banker. The people who administer U.S. foreign policy and are insiders and have national security clearances and know everyone in the business and know everyone in the network and know everything they're up to next and their whole inside thought process, and they have access to the classified documents, and they know, sure is a staring into a magic 8 ball, or maybe like a fortune teller. They know, they can see the swirling purple clouds inside the glass of what the CIA is going to do, what the DOD is going to do, what the State Department is going to do, what the USAID is going to do in Ukraine next, in Congo next, in Venezuela next. They know, or have a really good insider trader's advantage knowledge of whether there's going to be a coup, for example, in that country that opens up that country's natural resources to privatization. Is oil and gas going to be, privatized in Turkmenistan, and you are a part of a Goldman Sachs fund? Like, this is how you get these things. Like Jared Cohen from the State Department's policy planning staff, then creating Google Jigsaw, which played the tip of the spearhead role in internet censorship AI super weapons and works closely with the U.S. State Department and DHS CISA for censorship work, as well as foreign academic institutions like the Cambridge University Social Decision Making Lab, which is partnered with all these groups that does psychological inoculation work funded by the U.S. taxpayer in part or partnered in part. Where did Jared Cohen do right after going to Jigsaw? Went to Goldman Sachs, and he's doing like macroeconomic and global policy there. Well, what does he bring to the table? Let's see, the State Department's policy planning staff and that whole network where it was basically the CIA branch of Google, that he was interliaising with that whole time. He brings the whole network. How is he able to help Goldman Sachs make investment predictions so that they're one step ahead of the market? Well, it's not technically insider trading, in the sense that it's directly at the portfolio company with advanced knowledge of their business line and some 10b-5 securities violation. It is the great unstated insider trading, reason that there is this blob to banker pipeline.
No matter where you're watching Sean Ryan Show.
Thank you for coming on, Mr. Attorney General.
Glad to be here.
So the most pressing problem, I think it's fair to say as an outsider in Texas, is immigration. It's totally changed your state in every way. Do you expect that the new administration and the executive orders in the first couple of days are going to have a material effect, a noticeable effect?
I know they are, just because I saw what happened 4 years ago or 8 years ago when Trump came into office. I mean, I've been in politics since Bush was in office, and I've seen how Republicans and Democrats have dealt with immigration. They have not dealt with it effectively because they have not enforced federal law. Trump was the first president to use the force of our federal laws, which are good and designed to protect us, whether it was Remain in Mexico or whether it was Title 42 or it was stopping catch and release, basic common sense things like building a wall. Those things work. They just absolutely work. And just what he's done in the first couple of days is significant in changing where Biden was taking us.
So one of the things you pointed out off camera was his executive order designating the drug cartels as terror organizations is significant.
Yes, we as states don't have much authority to stop illegal immigration, but the federal government has that authority. And by designating these cartels as terrorist organization, now our military force can be used against them rather than just using border patrol and leaving the states subject to the cartels crimes.
You do wonder about the power of the drug cartels. They've, a lot of the weapons we have sent to Ukraine have been sold by the Ukrainian military onto the black market. That's a fact. A lot, up to half. And a lot of them have been purchased by the drug cartels. You see in Mexico, pitched battles, military engagements between the cartels and the Mexican military, where they're very, they're well armed. Are you worried about that happening in Texas?
Absolutely. I think the Biden administration has indirectly funded the cartels. They have encouraged, by saying no deportations on day one of his administration, they've encouraged illegal immigration, and that's a profit center for the cartels. They make $8,000 to $12,000 a person. We have, if you just do the numbers on 14 million, that's a lot of money. They're making billions every month. And then they can go and use that money to buy weapons from Ukraine, which we're funding. We're sending that over free. So indirectly, they're part of the whole process of, one, allowing the cartels to have access to our country and allowing them to make a profit, and then to use that money to arm themselves in a significant way. That's our government.
Well, it's horrifying. I mean, because, some of the weapons are surface-to-air weapons. So you wonder, what's the threat to commercial air travel? You can see things kind of starting to fall apart. Is there, widespread acknowledgement of this in Texas, that we could have a serious problem with these cartels?
I think even just common people are aware of that, just because of the influx and the increased crime associated with just everyday crime that people see as it relates to the cartels moving into our state. And that network that they built is not just in Texas. They are building that network all over the country, and they're not going to want to give it up. They're making too much money on drugs, sex trafficking, other crimes, and the importation of people.
Every big construction site in this country has prostitution run by the cartels, often of children. I don't see anyone doing anything about it. And it makes you wonder, Mexico is completely, utterly corrupt because of cartel money. Politicians, judges, journalists, all on the payroll. You see this in other Latin American countries. I mean, our politicians are not that expensive. You could do that in a state like Texas, right? Or California.
Yeah. Well, here's one of the biggest problems we have. We have it in Texas. We have it in other parts of the country. George Soros has figured this out. He's gone in and elected DAs in Democratic counties. Austin, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio. So 70% of our population controlled by Soros DAs. He went in and knocked off Democratic DAs because we can't get elected Republicans in those areas. So he went in and knocked off DAs who were actually prosecuting and replaced them with Soros DAs. Now, our legislature could fix that. They haven't. They could come in and say, AG, you have concurrent jurisdiction to go after these crimes. But because they haven't done that, crime is proliferating in all of our cities. Financial crimes, other types of crimes, because they will not prosecute crimes. And so the cartels have an open invitation. So do other cartels from other countries. So if you go out to our financial crime unit in Tyler, they will tell you about all these crime groups coming in from other countries because they know they can get away with it. And our legislature so far has not fixed that.
Why? Okay. So then the question of motive arises, why wouldn't you want to stop crime in your state?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I find that DAs have more power in Texas than any elected official I've ever seen because they're not accountable to anybody. If they commit a crime, no one can prosecute them. If it's a state crime, they'd have to prosecute themselves. And they can allow any crimes in their area. And they can go after, in Texas, it is so easy to get an indictment. You just walk in, you can tell the grand jury anything you want to. You can lie. Once you have the indictment, you've got it. There's no getting out of it. And so I think a lot of our politicians are afraid of their DAs, even if they're liberal Democrats. But if we don't get control of this in our state and in other states and give somebody like the Attorney General, I'm not going to be there forever, give that authority so that there's another way to prosecute when the Soros DAs, and Soros has figured it out, but the Republicans have not.
I mean, it's so obvious just in your, 45-second explanation. It makes sense. So how is it that they haven't figured it out, or do they have a higher loyalty?
They're afraid of the DAs. They're afraid the DAs come in and lobby, and everybody's afraid of their own DA, that they'll get indicted if they do it. There's just that power because to get an indictment in Texas, you don't have to have – there's no recording of it. It's only one side of the story. You can – and if they lie and they get the indictment, there's no remedy. There's no consequence to the DA, and there's no remedy for the victim of that lie. You are going to trial. You can even – if somehow you could find out what happened in that secret grand jury proceeding – which I have before, it doesn't matter. You can go to judge and say they lied. You still are indicted, and you're still at risk of going to prison.
You have to tell your kids you've been indicted.
And you might be in prison. You might be in front of a jury that doesn't know the truth, and you go to jail, or you're in a Democratic county, you might go to jail on something that they made up.
So you really think – I mean, I'm sorry to be so naive, but I grew up in this country, and we didn't have things like this that I was aware of in 1985. But you think that members of the Texas legislature are afraid they'll be indicted if they push back against the DAs?
I think there is a fear, and there is this lobby effort. These DAs have so much power. Otherwise, why would they allow Soros to control the major cities? And it's obvious that they're not prosecuting crimes. They won't even prosecute shoplifting for, like, if you have free ride, if you want to, as long as you take $750 a day in Dallas County or whatever the number is, and you go to different stores, you can do that every day. And the DA there said, we will not prosecute you.
But why would you want that unless you were trying to destroy a civilization?
Soros, it's exactly what he wants to do. So
there's no political goal here.
It's just destabilization.
Right.
It is so easy. It is literally so easy to do that. And he also, I believe, got control of our Court of Criminal Appeals, which is our highest court. We have a bifurcated system in Texas. We have the Texas Supreme Court, that's the final appeal in civil, and the Court of Criminal Appeals. But no one knew who they were. And suddenly they strike down a law that allowed me that directed me to prosecute voter fraud. And they took it away just by saying, oh, it's unconstitutional because you're in the executive branch and separation of powers says you can't be in court. How insane is that? So I've had to go run I'm trying to take that court back. But right now, I can't even prosecute voter fraud, which opens us up to unfair elections in Texas, which I was prosecuting plenty of voter fraud before that happened.
So who's supposed to prosecute voter fraud?
The Soros DAs.
So
that's where we're at in Texas. So that's why I ran. This is a 9-member court, 6-year terms. They waited till 2 days after the filing deadline to announce their decision. This is a 1951 statute that has thousands of cases of precedent. And they came up with this insane idea that it was unconstitutional for the attorney general to be in court because I'm in the executive branch. If that's true, every AG in the country is violating the Constitution. So that was their rationale. I had to wait 2 years. I recruited 3 people to take out the 3 people that were up. So we've replaced 3. We've got 1 good one on there, but we're still down 5-4. So until we fix those things in Texas, we're at risk.
Oh, big time. Oh, big time. So do you?
Well, I'll have the rest of that on my Twitter feed. Y'all have a wonderful day, and we will see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Bye for now.